Well, there we go. Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 196th live stream from the Misfit Gamer Studios. I am your host, Vortex, and this is D&D Discussions. On today's episode, we have a brand new otherworldly patron, or to say that in a different way, another warlock subclass. I don't think we've actually had one of these yet. I think this might be our first warlock, or have we had another patron?
We've had a couple of warlocks. Not a whole lot. I think one or two. The Unicron was
that's
a
right.
warlock
Unicron
patron.
Was another patron. Yes. Okay, so this may be our third.
I think the Banshee was also a warlock.
I can't remember that one. I do remember Unicron. But this one, the Fortune's Hand patron, is coming from a brand new submitter, Neverendingcodex. So this will be the very first one that we've gotten from Codex. Really curious to see what this is. I'm always a fan of new warlocks. I think that patrons are drastically too limited, and I always wanted to see more opportunities for creatures that are able to give their power to players and what they can do with it. So I'm really curious to see what we have here. Join us today as we find out exactly what Codex has in store for us. But first, let's see. I don't think we have any other major updates. I did see that the October community stream was officially earned. So
God
we will
bless
have to
America.
So we will have to put that on the list
Just
and get a
before
vote
the end
going.
of the month, man. Hey, got you some.
Absolutely. So we'll be doing another one of those. We just did our most recent community stream just this past week, just this past weekend.
This weekend.
Oh yeah, just 2 days ago.
2 days ago, yo.
It's been a long 2 days for me.
Wild, yeah.
But yeah, so we just did our most recent community stream for September. We did a pop culture build, and we created wow, why am I blanking? Why am I blanking? I told you this has been a long week for me.
I almost wanted to say Stitch, but we talked about Stitch. We didn't do Stitch.
No, we ended up not doing Stitch. Wow. Jeff the Land Shark.
Jeff's the Land Shark.
There we go. We have Jeff the Land Shark. So if you're interested in that, pay attention to the Discord, because we will be posting the roadmap and the character build for Jeff the Land Shark if you want to play them in your campaign. Based upon the actual build, it was only able to be built to level 5. So have fun building that character out as you see fit if you were to be Jeff the Land Shark. But that is not what we're doing today. Today we have a review. I don't think I have any other updates here, so I don't have a whole lot of preamble for everybody. I do see that Codex is in chat, so we don't have to go out of our way to ping them. And it looks like everybody else is already here and ready, so unless you have anything for the folks, I think we can just kind of jump right in today.
Yeah, no, I'm here for it.
I'm still kind of in recovery, so I do not mind just getting right to it and kind of cutting tonight, whenever we're done.
Okay.
But this Friday, we wanted to kind of take a step back. We've been doing a lot of work on OSR recently, and it's been a long time since we've really done anything else on a Friday. So I think this Friday, we were going to try and actually play some regular Marvel Rivals on stream. I think that would be kind of fun because it's been a minute since we both hopped on Marvel Rivals together. We've done so much work with OSR. It would be kind of nice to actually play the game, discuss some of the conversions that we've made, maybe even get some ideas for maps. Benefit that. And
there are a couple of new maps that have been showing up lately, so I might get some new inspiration on some of these things. So I'm here for it.
Excellent. So we'll be trying to do that on this Friday. And then, of course, I'll do my pop-up streams whenever I can. So if you see any of us online, be sure to drop us a hello. But yeah, I think we will just get right into it. I don't have anything else for you. So let's begin on today's review. All right, so this one's coming from Neverendingcodex, a brand new submission called Fortune's Hand Patron. This is, again, another way of saying that this is a warlock subclass. So if you like warlocks, this might be for you. All right, so starting as always with the description. Your pack ties you to the mysteries of destiny, embodied through the cryptic forces of fortune. Your patron may be an enigmatic oracle or a forgotten god of chance, a sentient deck of cards wielding magic power Wielding magic powerful enough to shuffle reality, or even the spirit of fate itself. With every spell you cast and every strike you make, you tilt the balance of fortune, sometimes in your favor, sometimes in another. Your pact with the Fortune's Hand patron wraps the flow of chance, destiny, and omen wherever you go. Consider how fate's influence manifests around you. Roll or choose from the signs of Fortune's Hand table to show how the world interacts with your tie to your patron. So one thing I like about the start here is I'm always kind of torn when it comes to patrons on how specific I expect the patron to be.
Right.
I usually, especially as a DM and someone and in High Point, I've always been much more interested in making sure that the otherworldly patron has its own identity, has is its own entity in and of itself, and most of the powers and everything is directly tied from there. Now, one thing I do like about this as a homebrew is that it does give it a little bit more openness to, or for most other DMs. So if you want this, if you want these kind of powers, but let's say you don't have, an oracle, or you don't have, you don't have other non-deity level creatures that have that much power. I kind of like that this gives you a generalized idea of where this power could come from, but I'm a little bit torn on it, right? I like that it's open for people and for DMs to kind of make it their own, but at the same time, I'm always a little bit weird when an otherworldly patron's power is kind of just
willy-nilly.
Yeah, it's kind of just there for whatever reason. So it's one of those things that a little bit like, I all of these make sense, but at the same time, I think personally I would have liked a little bit more of a narrow focus on where this power is coming from. And that's just me as a DM. I think that having things too open is sometimes a little bit more inconsistent for lore purposes, but keeping it open makes it a lot more available to people. So I'm torn.
So there was a conversation I think we had, if I'm correct, last week was the 10 out of 10, right?
Maybe.
Last week was that a subclass?
Yes, no, it was. It was our last 10 out of 10.
And we were talking about how the lore for that,
Faberfolk.
Yes, the lore for that was specific yet flexible. It was a very interesting balance of being able to be something that any DM could pick up and explain, but at the same time free enough for them to like fit it into their world.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that stuff like clerics and warlocks would be the hardest to do that with, specifically because it's tied to an entity of some sort, right? And when you have an entity of some sort, that entity has their own values, abilities, beliefs, whatever, and it flows in a certain way. And so basically tying a generic set of powers to a specific individual, whichever one you end up picking, can feel challenging, right?
Yeah.
So unless they're like just specifically like, hey, it's a Fey entity, and there's theoretically a warlock pact of like a Fey being, so as long as they're Fey, it could be any Fey in your world, boom, this power's sake. But what if that Fey is specifically dark and all the powers you get in this Fey pact are kind of light and frilly? Or will it make sense? Will it work? So I would say it's a hard balance no matter which way you go. But
I do like the direction it's going. Again, this isn't really going to affect the score, at least the compatibility with High Point. But just my first initial instinct is I like it. It's still all on brand, but at the same time, it's almost like there's I feel like while it's nice to give options, it's almost like there's too much going on here for any real,
I'm curious at the end of this if you would be able to pick one or maybe a couple of entities in your realm that might be able to fit this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best part about this is the last part of the description. Basically anything with magic enough to shuffle reality or even the spirit of fate itself. Those are things that I feel I would have leaned a little bit more into. But like, an oracle, a forgotten, god. Those are, I think they just, I don't know. Like I said, it's just one of those things where good examples to give us an idea, but almost too much. I would almost narrow down that language just to kind of really put it in the DM's
like one or the other instead of just like
not necessarily like a forced choice, just a more pointed choice of the idea is something that can control fate, less this. It could be this. It could be that. It could be this. It could be that. It's like just give the DMs an idea that this needs to come from something that can control fate or control the outcomes of things, but you don't need to give them a laundry list because some DMs, again, if they don't have that, you know, they might not look at it.
It might put their brain on a certain track that, whereas it could potentially go elsewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like when you're trying to be a lot more universal with giving you know, players and DMs these ideas, you want to essentially get to the point more so they can lock in. You don't want to give them too much to think about or too much to have to create themselves. You want them to find out right away, like, oh, so something that can control fate. I got something for that. If you're like, oh, and I don't have that, and I don't really think that works, and because the more options you give them, the more chance they're going to be like, these don't work for me, and then they're going to lose the idea of how to make it make sense. Whereas if you kind of give them the baseline idea of what's behind this is something that can control fate, regardless of what that is, I feel like that kind of a language or that kind of a guidance allows DMs to be like, oh, I got something for this.
I'm actually curious if Codex was actually just talking about it. He calls them flavor tables, but there's actually a couple of other subclasses that will do this. I think one of them is the Draconic one, where it'll give you like a template, a little like roll table basically of stuff that you can use to help tie you to your ability, or like to like the manifestation or representation. Like one of them was like, oh, you have like slightly scaly skin, or one of them was like, you know, your eyes kind of look like cat eyes or something like that, or like it does something to you to kind of represent. So I'm curious if this table gives any sort of insight, because a lot of that stuff comes down to, you'll normally see that in backgrounds. You'll normally see, you know, how this background affects you. Like you'll have a trinket, or you'll have like, you know, I don't know, speech impediment, or you'll be shy when talking to certain individuals, whatever the case may be. So I feel like it might, depending on how it goes, help out a little bit when it comes to understanding portion of this, potentially. I actually haven't got to read any of these yet, but
okay, well, let's see what some of these are, because we do have an option of 6 signs of the Fortune's Hand. So you can either roll for these or choose them. So we're looking at, first one is loose playing cards, tarot cards, or paper scraps drift through the air near you when you cast a spell, vanishing as quick as they appear. You may idly shuffle phantom decks when lost in thought. Okay, so these are just like visual representations, I guess? Like
yeah. So like if you just sit here shuffling, like you'll see these like illusory cards in your hand that you're shuffling.
Right. And then, okay. This is definitely interesting. This is definitely a direction I don't think I've ever seen someone take a warlock before. Like having these like this kind of a representation of your patron.
Sure.
Especially with 5th edition, there's not a lot that actually like have something that an outside person might be able to identify your patron over. You know what I mean? That's usually not something that I've seen DMs try to implement.
Actually, that's fair.
The second one is coin flips, dice rolls, and draws of chance often turn in your favor, but just as often they turn with uncanny timing against those around you, as though fortune balances its scale. So I'm a little bit confused because both of those seem to be completely different things. One looks to be completely visual and not at all, has nothing to do with, you know, maybe
like actual roleplay, yeah.
And then this other one basically insinuates that it's going to be obvious that luck's on your side. So there's a little bit of a, I'm not really sure.
That it'll like also flip and say it's like not on your side? Is that what
it says? It draws chance. So coin flips, dice rolls, and draws of chance often turn into your favor, but just as often they turn with uncanny timing against those around you. So it's kind of insinuating that it's like
you'll be lucky, but your teammates won't be.
Yeah, but I'm not really sure how that ties into the same thing as like loose playing cards manifest every time you cast a spell.
I'm curious what the overall intent, Codex, if you have any insight on this, of like the manifestation of that in a game. So if you were playing with a player that had chosen that particular aspect, like how would you as a DM represent that for them? Like, how would you envision that being manifest, like, in game, if they were like literally in a casino and they were like playing, or maybe you're in a fight
and that's the thing, is like
rolling to hit?
Is it meant to be just, again, is this just meant to be an ideology, or just like, again, like what some people like to call flavor text? It doesn't mean anything.
Sure.
But it's just weirdly written that one is a completely visual artifact, and then the other one seems like it's actually giving you a bonus. So that's where I'm a little bit confused on that. Let's see. So number 3, a faint but shifting sigil, sometimes a wheel, sometimes a card suit, sometimes an eye, appears on your skin when you channel your patron's power. The symbol may linger faintly for a few seconds or until you rest. So again, a visual artifact, something that someone could identify your patron with. That's, again, something I've not seen before. That's not usually how I've seen DMs portray it. And while it sounds really cool, it's definitely something that I would do in High Point. I feel like while it's an interesting idea, I don't think most DMs would really appropriately use that, for much in game, right? I feel like it would end up just being kind of lost in the background. So love the idea, though. I think the idea of having some sort of representation makes makes a lot of sense.
Aberrant Mind Sorcerer. That's the other one that actually has what you call an origin feature.
Interesting.
Basically, something similar. I believe you're exposed to fire, you convinced that. And see, some of these are more like RP based, like intellectual. Like this one's saying like you are convinced that a tentacle is growing on you, but no one else can see it. Like it's more of just like how your character would be in certain situations. He's walking around like he thinks there's a tentacle growing out of his shoulder or whatever. He's super embarrassed about it and he wants to hide it or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting.
So number 4, you sometimes hear the rustle of shuffled cards or the clink of gaming pieces in moments of silence. At times, a phantom dealer's voice urges you to draw again. That one's even more interesting because out of all of the other, again, 2 and 4 so far aren't really for anybody else but the player, it seems. Like if these aren't actual benefits and these are just kind of RP opportunities, those 2 right there definitely seem to lean more on the DM and the direct player and not really on the game or anybody else's interactions. Obviously 1 and 3 are much more opportunistic for the DM to use with NPCs or even players to use with their characters. So yeah, just it's a very interesting dichotomy that we're getting this back and forth of something that's actually visible to everybody and could be interacted with versus these other ones that seem to just be options that the DM might remember to do with the player, which we know, especially 5th edition DMs are probably not going to, because most of them don't pay attention to the player's character sheets that much. So I could see a player bringing this to their DM and choosing one of these, but unless the player brings it up, I don't see the DM remembering these very often. And I'm also having a hard time, again, 1 and 3 I could totally see. I can totally see those always happening and having some sort of play in the game, some sort of role play or some sort of opportunity to interact with. But the other 2 I feel are I just don't know where they're going to go with it, right? I don't know how they'll be utilized and how they'll benefit the actual gameplay.
Gotcha.
Number 5, when you cast a spell, onlookers may glimpse a faint glowing. So when you cast a spell, onlookers may glimpse faint golden or silver threads connecting you to your target, tugged like strands in a cosmic weave.
Interesting. Cool. Give a little inspiration for the description of your spell casting.
Right. That one I like less in terms of the other 2 that are visual, just because that, like, I guess I could see it because it's a patron, but it's like there's implications of basically like, so you know who you're targeting, or you know what I mean, like, or the idea that if you're trying to do something subtly, that's going to ruin it because everyone's going to be like, oh nope, it's that guy, he's the one casting the spell, I see the strings. You know what I mean? Like there's a little bit of is that what we were trying to actually go for here?
Well, and see, that's why I like the ability to choose it if, like, say the player wants to be like obvious about it, all right, or they want to be whatever. There are some spells like Witch Bolt. There's literally a bolt connecting you and your target, so people will obviously know who it is. And so there might be situations, but I would also say multi-classed and sorcerer, and they decided they wanted to get some sorcery points and do subtle spell. I would say, I'm pretty sure on there it says may, right? Or does it say there is?
What?
In the one you just described, I think it was number 5.
The onlookers may, yeah, that one says may.
So the possibility exists that it might not be, you know.
Yeah.
But I feel
but again, it kind of a lot of that falls on the DM on whether or not that matters. Because Codex is saying in chat that that, you know, this isn't necessarily on the DM; it could also be on the player. But that's a dangerous route to play, where the player can just be like, oh yeah, by the way, the DM. Because again, it's like this weird thing of you're telling the DM what's happening, and not the DM telling you. So that's kind of a interesting take on it, is the player telling the DM what's happening to their character. I know that there's a lot of DMs out there that wouldn't go with that, and then there's a lot of DMs out there who probably just would ignore it. They're like, okay, you hear your patron's voice, sure, you can hear it, now we're moving on. Like, it's just like, if it doesn't, like, for me as a DM, if I'm playing, you know, if you were this and we're just sitting there and you wanted to do that one where you're just like, oh, I'm hearing my patron, he just wants me to draw again right now. Okay, so what do you want to do with the shopkeep? You know what I mean? Like it's like you're again, it's that miscommunication of you wanted to add the flavor based on, hey, I wanted to have this moment with my patron, but how is that really like evolving the game, right? Like, usually when I'm looking for things like this, I want them to really tie back to more than just this thing is happening, right? I want it to actually have a meaningful impact. So again, the first and third one are my favorites. You know, playing cards or tarot cards that kind of like appear and disappear as you cast magic. That's kind of cool. I like that visual. And again, there's a lot that you can do to interact with that. Same thing with, like, you know, the sigil on you. It's kind of a representation. There's a lot as a DM I could work with on that one. But these other ones, again, if the DM's not there to do it and the player's trying to say, hey, you know, I want this thing to happen, it just, I feel like there's going to be a lot of disconnect in times of like explaining things. And then suddenly it's like, okay, that's happening, but why?
I would
like,
say,
why is it happening, or why did I need to, you know?
I definitely feel like that has a lot to do with the vibe between player and DM. Because I will say, like, for me, I don't mind if my players try to airdrop some narrative of what's going on, for the most part, as long as it's because the way I look at it for them, and this is again mostly for the kids that I DM for, is I want them to be able to immerse themselves in this experience, right? And when they add stuff like that, they're helping to paint a picture in my mind as to what they are trying to see out of the game that they're playing. I'm like, what do you enjoy about this experience? What types of things are you trying to gain from it? Like, these little bits here and there, like, there will be certain elements that are going to mean a lot more when they do come from me, but the little bits and pieces of, like, here and there of, like, what you're looking to experience in the game, I definitely want to know what those things are, so that I can, again, continue to play into that, continue to play on top of that. For me, it looks like a very much like yes and collaborative type deal, where I'm trying to build on top of what you have here. And with the exception of the few times where people try to take too many liberties and start to, like, take over and, like, hey, I want to do this whole thing or whatever, and I'm like, okay, yes, I understand that that's what you would like, but here is why that's not exactly how that works. You know what I mean? And so then we can talk about that. But I do get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. Like, and I think the biggest thing for me would end up being when, like, is the person trying to work with you? Because I feel like there have been times where, you know, I mean, I'm not going to talk about, like, oh, I'm hearing from my patron, but, like, I might try and describe, like, how a spell goes off, or, like, what it looks like when I do my magic, or something to that effect. And that's kind of the kinship I see to this. Okay. And our last one is small improbable events cluster around you. A bird flying across your path at just the right moment. A dropped coin landing upright. A storm clouds parting like curtains overhead. Allies may consider you charmed. Enemies may think you cursed. That one's also interesting. Again, there's, maybe I'm just having a hard time, like, really trying to think of, like, how that would really come into play without it, you know, drastically changing everything. Because either it feels like it's going to be a little too forced, or it's going to have to
be more meaningful than say any other warlock, right?
I see what you're saying.
And so because for me, and maybe this is just my aspect of, I don't like things that are just for the sake of being.
Sure.
Everything has a meaning, everything has a purpose, and everything should be interactable, in my opinion. So when I say things like this, I'm constantly looking for how's that gonna continue the story outside of giving me more descriptive.
That's an interesting point, because imagine you're playing, I don't know, I want to think of like something somewhat outlandish, but not necessarily, but like even like just either a tiefling or a centaur or something like that. Like, you're a very large creature, you're a very unique creature. Like, to you, in your world, like, people are going to respond to you differently.
Yes.
Based upon who and what you are. You know what I mean?
And I also, believe in the whole thing of like certain places aren't built for you. If you're a minotaur, most doorways are not built for you.
Sure.
Like, yeah, exactly. It's going to be very difficult for you to hang out inside. But
that is just a passive feature of what you are, of your race. And so I feel like potentially some of these things are meant to be similar to that. It's like, yes, this is just a passive feature of who I am, but like, your speed is also a passive feature of who your age is also, and those are going to have much less of an impact. So I kind of look at this list as like, yes, some of them might have a little bit more of an impact, but some of them might have a little bit less of an impact, very similar to your size when you choose your race. Right. There'll be plenty of races where your size is going to be fully irrelevant, but there'll be some where it's fairly relevant. Like, your weight might be very relevant. You can't really ride a horse as a Loxodon. You can't really like ride in a carriage regularly as this like 300-pound elephant creature. You know what I mean? Like, that might be really challenging. So maybe they do get some RP consequences for some of these things, but maybe they don't. I don't know. I can see the possibility, but I can also see the challenge in it. So I feel you.
Yeah, because some of these just feel like there would be it's almost like everyone has to remember to do it. Some of these are just like, oh yeah, and then this thing can happen. Some of them just don't feel like they are impactful enough to really come up ever. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But then other ones are like, again, I like the visual ones, but even at like the number 6, like the small improbable events, I feel like while that one sounds kind of cool, it's just, again, it asks a lot for the DM to sprinkle that in on behalf of that one character, if it's not like a standard thing that DM does.
And I think in those moments, it might be the player being like, hey, is it cool if like when I walk outside, like when you walk outside, it's a cloudy day, like all of a sudden there's one little beam of light that just follows me out for like a hot second.
Right. And I'm sure that there's plenty of people who play that way and would be fine with it. To me, that just is like, again, my first instinct is, why is that happening? Oh, just because, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, to me, there's so much more going on when things like that happen, at least in High Point, that it's hard for me to just say, yeah, sure. Yeah, the clouds parted and you're just walking in a beam of light and everyone thinks that, it's just, it's almost just like, but why? What's making that happen? Why in this particular case? For me, the narration is so much more important than just the effect. And I think that's where I would struggle utilizing these.
Fair enough.
Just because, for me, it's more of a time and place and purpose for everything.
Sure.
And some of these just don't feel like they have a time or a place or a purpose. It's more of a lot of these would end up just falling to the wayside. And I don't know how beneficial they would be in the long term. Because again, they're not really there to give you anything, but then at that point, is it just one of those like how many people don't use flaws and traits and all of those things?
That's exactly how I look at it. That's exactly what I think. Lightweight, to a certain extent, this is either meant to be or not meant to be. It's supposed to be as impactful or as unimpactful as you want it to be. Maybe it's just flavor that the player keeps in the back of their head and they think it in their brain all the time, but they never say it out loud, and that's enough for them. Maybe it's something that they try to RP off of just randomly because of whatever is going down. Or maybe, the DM is super into all of that and he actually runs all of them super specifically because he's just that on top of things. So I think lightweight, all elements are possible, but I get you.
But again, that really comes down to, I think it just comes down to like it's a big concept of playstyle.
Yeah.
Like again, for me, it's just one of those things where these either depending on which one you get, either it'll never come up or it'll be too like some of these could be fine, but like again, the first and the third are my favorites. I could totally see those are easy to keep up with because they're constant. They're basically static. They're always going to be there. Every time you cast a spell, something happens.
Sure.
I can get behind that. But these other ones, it's like, who's going to remember to do it? And is it really going to end up creating something that makes the gaming session or that particular moment better? Or is it just yet another detail that people are going to have to remember to actually do it,
incorporate?
And will it add anything? Like my biggest thing is always like, is that going to add anything? Or
Sure.
if it's not, is it just a time sink of yet another thing to explain?
Sure.
So
okay.
I think it just comes down to the type of DM. Like you said, it's going to be the DM and the player, and how they feel the build should actually play.
I will say, regardless of the type of DM, I don't think that table will be too much of a deterrent for any DM. I think at most they'll just be like, "Oh, I don't care. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm not going to touch it. You do whatever you want to do, and the mechanics are what matters."
Yeah, it won't change. It won't change the the whether or not they would accept it or how they would actually play with that particular player and their character. It's just like with some of these, I feel like they should be, again, 1 and 3 are the best examples. They should be more like static things. You know what I mean? Like these are the things that are, going to happen, or, a little bit more concrete in terms of things that from the DM perspective, they can say, okay, when these things happen, I know that this is going to be a great time to call into account the fact that you have a patron. Because again, I do like the idea of this because too many times we've seen warlocks basically forget they have a patron.
Yeah.
Like too often, do we have warlocks that are basically just magic casters.
That's true. I'm not gonna lie, almost all characters, like anyone that's supposed to be about something, like whether you're a cleric or a paladin or whatever, a lot of the times it's like, I just picked it for the stats and just picked it for the benefit. So I'm not here to play into my oath.
So at least with using these, you are going to constantly have that reminder and have that connection that, hey, you have these powers for a reason from somewhere, and this is your subtle reminder that they're still watching.
Sure.
But what that actually means in terms of the gameplay is where my concerns lie. Is how does that actually affect the gameplay versus is it just one of those things that you're asking the DM to remember, oh yeah, I got to throw that little thing in every now and again because it's part of your character sheet.
Sure.
So.
Okay, well
but let's see what this thing can actually do. So we have an expanded spell list for it, which is always nice to see.
Love it.
Let's see here. So we have two. Oh wow, we have a lot more. So we have this.
That's right. This is the first time I've actually seen this. I gotta look this up again.
Yeah. Okay. So we have 2 different types of spell slot expansions. We have your standard warlock level spells, 3rd through 9th. So these are going to be pretty standard from other spellcasters that we've seen. So starting with 3rd, you get Augury, Bane, Bless, and Mind Spike. With 5th, you get Bestow Curse and Remove Curse. 7th, you get Banishment and Locate Creature. And then 9th, you get Dominate Person and Greater Restoration. So it's interesting because I'm seeing a good dichotomy here. Locate Creature and Banishment are a little bit of, not quite the opposite of the same coin, but they're a little bit of a different one. Pushing something away versus trying to get closer to something.
Yep.
Bestow and Remove Curse, Bane and Bless. There's a very interesting dichotomy with all of these, but I'm a little bit confused because just based off the spell list alone, I don't really see any connection to like a fate-based creature here. You know what I mean? Like these aren't really things that I would consider being affecting the way that things might turn.
So I'll say Bless and Bane. I get it because you are leaning luck away from your enemies. You're leaning luck towards your allies. So you're making it more likely that they'll hit or less likely that the opponents will hit.
Okay.
Augury, I'm not as familiar with what exactly Augury does. I feel like that's a cleric
We talked about this
spell.
one, I think, a week or two ago.
Did we?
Let's see. So Augury, by casting Gem and Blade Sticks, rolling Dragon Bones, laying out ornate cards, blah blah. Oh, gotcha. So this is like seeing into the future, almost like getting a chance of like, hey, is this going to benefit? So that one, okay. So that one makes sense.
Vibes.
That one makes sense.
Mind Spike, kind of weird. Not weird. It's kind of psychic. It's kind of getting in your opponent's head. Like maybe like I get the psychic angle when it comes to fortune and cards and stuff like that.
Right. I mean, the banishment locate creature, interesting, but again, I'm not really sure that I see those as like
banishment is harder. Locate creature, I kind of get like I can see it with my third eye, or you know, the fates are telling me where this creature is type deal. Like I can kind of see that. Banishment, you're telling something to go somewhere else. That's more like summoning, unsummoning type deal. Like that one's a little bit harder for me.
And then again, we have Dominate, Person, and Greater Restoration. And so you have a healing, you have a banishment, you have, it's kind of all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not, so far, I'm not feeling the synergy of what this patron's about if these are the spells it gives me.
Yeah.
Now, all of the third level spells, other than Mind Spike, so the first three, Augury, Bane, and Bless, for sure, 100%. Those are definitely locked in for the patron.
For clarity's sake, these are not third level spells. Those are the spells
you get at third level because we don't have a first level. I'm just saying this, but just getting those right out the gate, those first three, I think are fine. Like those definitely make me understand where this patron's coming from. The others are kind of losing me in terms of what kind of patron am I following.
Sure.
Now, granted, it's not like there's a crap ton of other spells I can just instantly start naming off that are more fate based. But it just doesn't, like, none of these really seem like they're going in the same direction.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think I would probably look for maybe a couple others. I don't know any off the top of my head that would be, like, good replacements. But I got to believe that there's at least more consistency we could find.
This is where I always love, adding your own custom spell list. We've had a couple of other submissions where they've added some custom spells on top of whatever spells already exist for the class. Like the Ice Sorcerer that we got a whole bunch of brand new ice spells that are really cool. So I think this would be a cool opportunity to create some more unique type spells. What's that one spell? I don't know why this one came to mind, but Incite Greed. And it's basically where you can take like a coin and basically like distort its value. Yes. So like everybody's like goes gung ho for it.
You can drop a copper and everyone thinks it's like a gold
or a platinum or something.
And everyone's just like yeah. So that would be something like that. I
don't know why that like gives me the right vibes, but I kind of feel like it does.
Yeah. So. I would have to do a little bit more research, but I feel like there's just we're kind of bouncing a little bit with some of the spells. So we'll see if the abilities as we level up, we'll see if any of those make a little bit more sense in terms of how a fate-based patron might have thought about those things. But yeah, just a little outside of the scope of what I would expect. But I am curious on this next bit though, because at the DM's discretion, they're offering this opportunity for Mystic Arcanum features.
This is what I genuinely think all warlocks should have.
Okay.
They should have a unique Mystic Arcanum spell list. So what Mystic Arcanum is basically is at certain levels in your warlock, because traditionally you do not get any spell level above 5th as a warlock, right? Okay. You're just not that high of a caster. But at certain levels in your class, you get access to a singular spell of a higher level.
Okay.
A singular spell that you get to lock in. That's my spell that I can cast at higher levels. And you can do that once per day. That particular spell once per day, right? And you get one, you get an 11th level, you get one at 11th level, 13th level, all the levels.
Interesting. Okay.
So, although it says your first Mystic Arcanum is at 6th level, so that's curious. But That's when you get access to these. So,
Gotcha. Okay.
6th level, 7th level.
So looking at these two, so harm and heal.
Oh, it's 6th level spell.
Oh, not at
Got you. So
level.
at 11th level, you get access to a 6th level spell. At 13th level, you get access to a 7th level spell, so on and so forth. Okay, cool.
All right. So I'm familiar with heal and harm.
Yep.
Again, I don't know how exactly that portrays to a fate-based warlock. I mean,
Sure.
It's starting to kind of sound like we're trying to be that jack of all trades, do a little bit of everything. I mean, we got healing, we got banishment, we got like it's almost as if we're just trying to have our hand doing a little bit of everything, which again isn't necessarily like something that I would look at as fate. I'm not familiar with sequester. I'm looking at that one right now.
I'll say I was also not familiar with that. I wasn't even sure it was a standard 5th edition spell, but that's a PHB spell, which is wild to me.
So by means of the spell, a willing creature or object can be hidden away, safe from detection for the duration. Okay, so it's the opposite of like finding creature. Yeah, it's basically being able to hide something. Yeah, I'm not seeing the connection to a fate-based patron on why hiding something like that would be like
I can see a connection, but it's more like not in combination with all the other ones. So it's like if you're focused on being fate-based, right? Then what type of fate are you looking to play with? Is it like the fate of like dice rolls and how much money you do or don't get? Is it the fate of whether you live or whether you die? Because I could see the heal and the harm type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the fate of, whether something gets accomplished? I can totally see that with the finding things and losing things and hiding things or whatever. Like it's but it feels like all the different sides of fate, and maybe that's the point. All the different sides of fate are coming together to be a part of your wheelhouse, and you get to decide what avenue of fate that you desire to impact. You know what I'm saying? So like I guess that's possible. But we got a hydrate from Hart. Much appreciated.
So time stop is interesting. I can kind of see time stop as a magic evade.
Welcome.
I can absolutely see time stop for this. Mind blank is another one that I'm not really seeing.
The mind ones are hard for me.
Like one does psychic damage, the other one prevents psychic damage, and those are definitely falling short for me on a fate-based patron. But the time stop does make sense because at that point you're basically you basically have the opportunity to change like the world around without anybody noticing it, right? Like you have like what, 5 rounds, up to 5 rounds to do whatever you want. So it's like those I could see because they kind of like mess with things. You're given a chance to like change the future. That I can get behind. But like you said, with these other ones, maybe I could make an argument for each one individually, but I'm having a hard time seeing them all together. As coming from something that's decidedly something fate related.
That's kind of what I was saying, is like they don't really create a specific path that this fate patron is channeling. It almost feels like you yourself are trying to channel raw fate itself, right?
Well, yeah, fortune, fate. I mean, fortune, it just means luck and everything,
Sure, sure.
But again, so even if we went away from fate and went to luck, it's even less. Banishment, locate creature, dominate person, none of that has anything to do with luck. None of that has anything to do with improving your fortune. Those are just basic, direct. I'm going to like that's like me saying I'm going to bash you over the head and while you're knocked out, move you. See, the fortune's in my fit. Like, no, you knocked the person out and then you I even with fortune, I'm not seeing how these.
I think. Well, see, in my mind, I what I would go to is like something like dominate person, right? I cast this spell on you, and from the player's or from the character's perspective, that character specifically isn't in control. Fate is now in control of them, and they are no longer in control of themselves.
But again, ignoring fate and going to fortune. Fortune just means luck. Fortune just means things are in your favor. But I don't necessarily say that just because you can cast this spell, you're putting things like it's just a spell. Like that's not putting things in your favor. It's not tilting the tide towards you. I mean, that's just like saying I crit. Well, now it's in our favor. Well, yeah, you're winning the fight, but that's not the same thing as, pushing the odds in your favor. Like, that's not, to me, those don't come down to the same concept of just because you have a spell, like, doesn't mean you're changing the odds. Like, that has to do with the whole situation of the balance of the combat and the balance of whether or not this person has things that they can fight you against. So maybe I'm not finding the connection between something that's supposed to help, adjust reality and adjust the potentials of reality, but these spells don't really seem like they're doing that. They're just beneficial spells. You know what I mean? And I don't know if I agree with Codex in terms of, like, again, this is just how you look at things like fortune and fate, but I don't know if I would say that a warlock being able to do something that they normally couldn't has the same effect as, I mean, just because you're making a subclass that lets this warlock do something that other warlocks can't, I wouldn't equate that to, well, then they have some fortune favor in, fortune's favoring them.
I would, yes, I agree with that statement.
Like, in a fortune favoring them would be something that they don't even know that they can do, but this is something that they can do. It is just what they do. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's fortuitous because it's just what you do, right? It's like you can't really say that, I wouldn't call a paladin against, or a cleric against undead. I wouldn't call that fortuitous. That's their whole purpose. Is to go against undead.
And this is kind of my instinctual imagining. Imagine when you choose this subclass, the character does it. All the character knows is I have a deck, right? The player is the only one that actually knows or is in control of whatever's happening. The player or the character is just, in their perspective, getting really lucky, right? All the stuff that the player does for the character's just like, oh my gosh, things are going my freaking way type deal. Like that is
a very abstract way of playing the character.
Yes.
Because
yes,
that's I feel like that's just disassociating the fact that you're playing a character versus, well, I'm not playing a character, I'm third party.
Lightweight.
But that's what the DM does. I don't know. Again, different approaches.
It is a stretch for sure, but to me, that's an interesting concept for playing a character. Like I kind of like that idea. I know that it is definitely outside of the norm, especially for me, because I love being my character. But in a scenario like that, I would love playing the surprise on the character's face when something the player did helped them out. Like I would enjoy that kind of back and forth, and that kind of dynamic between me as
and going again with Codex example, like, being able to like banish a creature, I don't consider that unlucky for the creature.
You said unlucky for the creature?
Yeah, like if you have the banish spell and you banish the creature, I wouldn't immediately go, man, that's so unlucky for that. No, you had the spell and you chose to do it. Like, fortune is things out of everybody else's control.
Sure.
But if I've said, I am going to banish this creature, so then we have the benefit in this combat, that's not a lack of luck on the creature's part. That was a chosen, you know what I mean? Again, it's not, because that's like saying, well, you know what? If an undead comes across a cleric that has turned undead, well, how unlucky. That's what the cleric is designed for. And that's where I think maybe this is just a definition thing, right? When I look at like something like fortune, I look at things that are out of anybody else's control. But when you give someone the ability to say, I'm going to do this, it's no longer about luck, right? And now, if any of these things were based off of rolls or chance, or they would happen randomly, those are things that could be considered fortuitous.
Sure.
But if I'm given a tool and I choose when to use that tool, it's not that I'm lucky because I chose to use that tool. It would be more like I need a tool, like let's say I need suddenly a tool and it just so happens to be near me, even though I didn't plan for it. But if I'm going to hang up a picture in my house and I bring the tools and I have my hammer and my ladder and my nails and I get it just right, and then I grab the hammer to put the nail in, it wasn't lucky. But if I'm sitting there going, oh, that picture's a little crooked, oh, the nail's a little bit loose, oh, I just happen to have a hammer right here, let me fix it, that's fortuitous. But the fact that I brought the tool with me doesn't make it so lucky that I fixed it.
I'll say, like, if there is an owlbear just strolling through, minding its own business, and that owlbear happens upon a lone adventurer. That owlbear could be lucky or unlucky in that scenario, in the sense that this could be a low-level adventurer that I get to snack on, or this could be a high-level adventurer that fucks me up.
And it's going to snack on me.
Exactly. And so in a scenario like what's being described, the banishment, it was unlucky that this person happened to have the skill set, abilities, and availabilities to cast banishment on you in the first place. So like, sure, you know,
Yeah,
like when you're trying to cast a spell against the BBEG and he still has enough spells for a counter spell, that's unfortunate.
I mean,
you know,
it's a stretch. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's planned. Like, I don't think things that are
planned by him, but not by you. Like,
that's not the same as luck. Though.
Sure.
Like, again, that's it's still planned. It's not like, you know, I don't know. Just because it's not in your control doesn't mean it's luck. Like, that's my thing.
Okay. Out of curiosity, do you consider a game of rock, paper, scissors luck?
That it depends on who you're playing, because there are pros out there that there are ways to win that game, and there are ways that if you just...
But isn't the way to win that game to know your opponent?
Sometimes, like there's actually several strategies to that game, and that's the weird part about it, is that's maybe just the
like
wrong
tic-tac-toe, I know there's a strategy too.
There's also a strategy there too, yeah.
But rock, paper, scissors, you just have to... there's an option where you win, and there's an option where you lose, right?
And an option where you tie, technically.
There's an option where you tie, for sure, but like, it's one of those scenarios. It's like, is there a choice you can make where you're guaranteed to only tie or win? Like, I don't think there's a singular option where that's a guarantee. And so, like, if that's the case, then it very much depends on what the other person ends up choosing. So that's all I'm saying. Yeah. It's like, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but from my perspective, there's at least an element of fortuitousness or fortune when the other person happens to choose rock when I'm choosing paper. You know what I mean? So, but I do very much get, like, there's a lot of intentionality when it comes to what you're doing, and intentionality is driven more by like purpose than
and situation and prior knowledge instead of just by happenstance. And that's where I'm like, some of these just don't feel like they have much to do with changing luck. I mean, yes, they're changing the outcome, but that's, to me, it's kind of a stretch, because technically you could say that every character build is based off the luck thing. Were you lucky enough to choose the right character build? Were you lucky enough to choose the right spell? Were you lucky enough to choose the right magical item?
Yeah.
Were you lucky enough to choose the right type of damage this round?
Were you lucky enough to choose the right DM who's going to give you all the things that you want?
Yeah, it's like it's a stretch for me to call that luck. So again, you know, that's where I'm struggling a little bit with some of the spells, is just like, I don't know if I would put those under the ideology that these are changing the likelihood of outcomes, because, and again, maybe this is just more, again, where more people can get into the idea of flavor text, just because you say it's about luck and everyone's on board and they're just like, hey, nope, it's about luck. And it's like, for me, this is no different than giving a sorcerer with all these same these same spells, but not calling them lucky because they chose it, but this warlock is lucky because they didn't choose it because it's a patron. But you both, as players, built the character the same way. Sure. So again, I'm much more of the mindset of, if it's going to be luck, there should be an actual like mechanic around the luck. But if it's just something that you just choose, I have a hard time defining that as, well, this is a very lucky build because you chose to use this in the campaign, right?
Sure.
That's where my disconnect is. So I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm having the disconnect with, like, I would putting these spells in high point and saying that these spells are based off luck is where I'm having a hard time, right? The idea that this is going to change the outcome of things is hard for me to see.
Sure.
So again, that's why we have the two of us, because you seem to be a little bit more on board with it, which is fantastic. At least one of us is understanding where this is going. Because for me, I'm having that disconnect.
No, I get what you're saying, and there's definitely that it goes back to one of my core principles for playing D&D, and what I feel is very essential is maintaining immersion.
Yes,
it's very important for both players and DMs to be able to maintain immersion, and there are very much different criteria for each individual on what helps them to maintain their immersion. And so coming to a table where you can collaboratively do that for everybody, especially the DM, because they're the one who holds the world together. So it's very important for them to be able to maintain their immersion in the world that they are crafting for you. So if this doesn't do it for you, then it doesn't do it for you. And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But, like we always say, it's just about what does it for you, what works for you. Like,
yeah,
do you, if you vibe with this, if your players vibe with this, rock on,
Yeah. And for me, I think a big thing too is, again, from a DM coming from second edition that doesn't play fifth edition, for me, maybe the easier way of saying it is clear-cut rules don't hold the same weight as variable, or like none of this can fail, right? Like, that this is the spell that you can do, what the spell will do, and you're choosing to do that spell.
Sure.
So there's going to be no question what happens. Like, when you choose to banish and it goes off, everyone knows it's going to happen. There's no chance for anything else, right? Whereas in High Point, if something has a chance to not work or has a chance to do something else, like, so here's a perfect example of how I may change this to adopt it to High Point.
Sure.
In second edition, you still have spell fail. Something that just fifth edition has no fucking clue about.
Sure.
I would give this warlock an opportunity, like, if you spell fail and roll like even, you get to reroll. And maybe your spell will go off. That's luck. That is fortuitous, because you as a warlock failed to get your spell off, but fortune's favor said, yeah, give it another try. Maybe this time it'll work. And that to me would be more of a fortune's favor than the spell you wanted went off and did the thing you planned it to do. There's no luck. Yeah, the other the enemy technically doesn't know you did it, but again, it would be more like, well, then that means that every single thing that happens to an enemy, I would say, oh, that was unlucky. Oh, you hit him? That was unlucky. Oh, you used smite? That was so unlucky. But it's not. It's not unlucky. You wanted that to happen, right? It's almost taking away, when you say it's luck, you're taking away the fact that the player chose to do it, because you're acting as if there could have been another way.
Sure.
And that's where, for second edition, and at least for High Point, that's where I would make that distinction, is if it's guaranteed to happen, it's not fortuitous.
I'm not gonna lie, as I keep thinking about it, specifically for trying to play this in 5th edition with 5th edition mechanics, I'm liking more and more the idea of the disconnect between player and character. And basically just saying the character just found this deck, and this deck like protects the character. It like loves the character, and it's like, it's not the character doing any of this stuff. It is the deck that is out here trying to ensure that this character survives. And like the stuff around it that's happening is like, and they just learn to like vibe with it, almost like Neo,
Right. I mean, like I said, like there are ways that I could see this working out. Like, I could even put all of these either or spells. I would even put to a die. Like here's something I would do. Like you want to use the curse, you want to use bestow or remove, but there's a chance the other would happen.
Yeah.
And so that would be a way that I would do it. Is like, let's say I want to bestow curse on this enemy. Roll me percentiles. If you roll 10% or less, you actually remove curse instead.
I like that a lot.
That would be a way that I would implement.
I like that a lot.
That, because if you want to banish someone, maybe there's a 1% chance you banish one of your players and one of your peers, and not the enemy. That's how luck works.
Ooh, I'd say there might even be a chance you go with them.
Or that, you know what I mean? Like, so everyone else gets the benefit, but you and them are kind of off.
And in order for you to get back, you have to intentionally drop your concentration, right, and bring them back too.
Like with Time Stop, maybe it's you that freezes and nobody else does, or maybe the person, like maybe the enemy is the one that get. Like, there's so many ways that I would definitely look at that. It.
I kind of like those vibes.
And hopefully that explains better where my disconnect is coming from.
No. Don't get me wrong.
Mainly for codexes. Maybe,
but yes,
that explains more. Like, from my second edition mindset, because there were ways to fail, because there were so many opportunities for DMs to be able to alter what happens. That feels more like a patron of luck that would shift the tides ever so slightly once in a while. But sometimes it goes in a good direction, sometimes it goes in a bad direction. Even doing something to where every time you do something, roll percentiles, and if you roll 80 or higher, you get the good thing. You get a better thing. Sure. And if you roll like 5 or lower, you get a bad thing. So there's a much lower chance of bad luck happening, a much higher chance of extras happening, and then between 5 and 80, nothing extra. You just do what you do. Even that could make this more feel like fortuitous, right? Like, I want to, bestow a curse on this enemy. Roll me percentiles. If you roll 5 to 80, nothing happens. If you roll below 5, you actually remove curse or curse somebody else instead. And if you roll 80 or above, maybe something extra happens. Maybe on top of cursing them, you also banish them. Like, those would be kind of the things that I feel would incorporate more of this idea that something's quite not exact with the world and fate has been changed in your favor, right? Those are the kind of things that I would look to implement in order to make this feel a little bit more like there is this deity or patron just idly shifting the things to make the world work for me. But again, my disconnect mainly comes down to, I get that these things in a vacuum could easily be attributed to fortune.
Sure.
But when the player is the one knowing what's going to happen and they make the choice and there's no alternative, I have the disconnect of saying that that's fortuitous, because that's every other player. Every other player has something, knows what it does, and chooses it.
Sure.
And so hopefully that makes a little bit more sense to you, Kodak, on a little bit more about why this doesn't feel like it's a fortune fate based, and it's just more of a like, these are just things that are going to benefit you. So maybe that helps. I don't know.
Okay.
Why would your patron actually try to fuck you? Not necessarily that they wouldn't try to. It's not that they're trying to, but fate is very weird. Fortune is very weird. And fortune has two sides. Like, the patron wants to do good things for you, but there's also a balance in the world.
Yes.
And patrons work in really fucking mysterious ways. Like, maybe that patron realizes that what you think is the best outcome isn't. Mm-hmm. And so they may give you in the moment what seems like a better, like a wrong outcome.
Yeah.
But what if later down the road it turns out that that was actually fortuitous for you to not get that spell off, or for you not to do that one thing?
Sure.
Like, that's what I mean by, like, yes, it's not about the patron deciding, well, I'm gonna fuck you because
I feel like it's almost like the patron gave you all these powers and he's tilting everything in your favor all this time, but every once in a while he's got to be like, listen, sometimes fate just does what it does. Sometimes it goes the other way. Like, I can make that coin land on heads a lot. It's gonna be tails every once in a while.
Because if it's not, then that's not fortune. That's just someone controlling fate. That has nothing to do with fortune. That is literally someone deciding for you.
Sure.
It shall always be beneficial. And I will also say here, this is just going to be, again, one of my pet peeves with 5th edition, not with you, Codex. But what you just said, the chance to fail is actively punishes the player, I staunchly disagree. In fact, I think the fact that 5th edition is all about player satisfaction and player success is what hurts the gameplay.
Well, I think it's the chance for failure is the entire purpose of a dice roll. Like, if you're playing 5th edition, if you're playing any edition, there's gonna be a chance for failure. Anytime you or the opponent gets a chance to roll a dice, there's a chance for it to not work. There's a chance for it to not go off. You know?
And again, so, if there's no chance for failure, then this isn't even a patron of fortune. This is a patron of blessing. It just means that the patron's never going to let you fail. And I also think that that's a terrible way to run anything. Like, at that point, why wouldn't you just always choose this warlock, because your spell's never gonna miss. It's always going to do max damage. Like, that's what I mean. It's like, if you say that there's a chance to fail, so does this patron, are all of these spells going to work 100%? I mean, when one of these spells does psychic damage, is it guaranteed to do max? And if it's not, how is that not the patron not doing their, you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
That's where I would disagree, that chance to fail is the purpose of life, and fortune gives you a better chance at not failing.
So I'm not gonna lie, I've been watching way too many of these reviews of the movie The Matrix recently, and one of the biggest things that they talked about is, in the first couple of versions of The Matrix, they made it perfect, right? They made it so that everyone had the greatest, most best, beautiful life, but like, everybody rejected that because, like, they want a challenge. You need something to like strive for. Like, the second you put in cheats to make you go God mode, that game almost instantly becomes boring like 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
It's like I can do whatever I want.
You get live all the fantasies.
You know, I can do all the things, but then it's no longer, because it's not hard for me. It's like, oh, let me go fight all the, I just delete them. Like, all right, I'm fighting all the dies, they're deleted. Like, what am I even playing anymore? I could just sit here and walk away and have the same experience. You know?
Again, I think you're not, I don't think you took into account what I said, because you're saying that a patron of fortune wouldn't be so random. I did say like 20% chance of bonuses and 5% chance of failure. That's how fortune and luck work. But it sounds like what you want is a patron of blessing. This would be more of a patron of blessing.
And that's
if the whole concept is it's always in their benefit. Sure, right? Sure. Like if it's always supposed to be in benefit of the player, then it's not about fortune. It's because fortune has to come with a chance of failure. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's why it was luck. I mean, you don't go gambling. If you go, like, that's why in casinos, that's why it's fortuitous if you win at the jackpot, because there was a much bigger chance of failure. But if you are able to play a game and never lose, that's not luck. That's just how the game was designed. You need to be able to not do everything, so those moments are even more, are better. Sure. That they mean that they're more meaningful.
And it helps that, the rest of the players at the table can feel helpful and useful, because, when one person's like literally a one-man band just like doing all the things, it's like, well, then what the heck are the rest of us here for?
Yeah. I'm just trying to explain my disconnect with it, because for me, when I think of things like fortune, it's more of a, you take a 50-50 and turn it to a 60-40.
Sure.
Like, that's what fortune is to me, not, hey, I'm going to give you all the things to, when you decide to do these, of course they're going to be good for you. Like, that's not the same thing for me.
Right.
But again, it does sound like Kage understands a little bit more from the 5th edition mindset how this would work for, like, the storytelling aspect. And I think, again, that just comes down to how we both DM and how we both have crafted the worlds that we have.
Sure. But no, I'm excited to get into some of these abilities and see what they do. I know I really want the spells so far, but
one thing I'm really hopeful for, because this is one thing that I think we've seen a lot with Warlock builds, is unlike any other like spellcaster, more often than not, Warlocks seem to actually have abilities that tie into the types of magic like the types of magic spells that they can cast, more than any other like magic caster. More often than not, magic casters have a list of magic spells and they have a list of abilities.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I ever see a sorcerer have an ability that directly connects to a specific spell, but more often than not, and I think we saw this with Unicron as well, the idea that the spells and the abilities, you saw the synergy, you saw the ability of, how this spell would be used with this ability and how they would tie in together. So I am also really hopeful for that, because that may also give us a better idea of exactly where these spells are going to fit into the build. Right. Because right now we've only looked at the spells, and just based off of the ideology of the patron and the spells it grants, I have yet to see the connection, but it doesn't mean that we won't find it in the abilities.
Sure.
So let's move on to our first level ability, at 3rd level. We get Deck of Fate. So you can use a card deck as your spellcasting focus for Warlock spells. I don't see any problem with that. In addition, when you roll for damage for one or more beams of your Eldritch Blast, choose one of the D10s. Choose one of the D10s. The number rolled on that die determines an additional random effect based on the number rolled, as detailed in the Deck of Fate table below. If an effect would affect a target, choose one target dealt damage by your Eldritch Blast. If an effect requires a saving throw, the DC equals your Warlock spell save DC. You can add an effect to your Eldritch Blast in this manner a number of times equal to your Charisma modifier, minimum of 1, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So the first hesitation I have is Charisma modifier at such a low level. I would expect this to be off a proficiency modifier, so it would scale with level up. Because that does
make a lot of sense.
You're giving. We don't know what the benefits are just yet. We don't know what those what else there is. But having it static with your charisma modifier, because yes, you could level it up, I would much rather see it expand with the level up of the process. So I think proficiency modifier would be the better way to go in this one.
Let me think. So you start off with 2, and then you max out at 6 for proficiency modifier. And for charisma modifier, I think just at 20, unless you surpass 20 somehow, you're only ever going to get 5.
Yeah.
So I think I agree. Just slowly increasing how much you can do this. I want to see what's on the list to see how powerful these things are. Because if I can do like 5 of these a long rest at level 1, because I happen to have a 20 at level 1, and that just feels crazy powerful.
Yeah, because we don't know what the abilities do just yet, and even Codex.
I did put those at the bottom, by the way.
Yeah,
just so you can see those.
And Codex says that their standard charisma modifier is 3. Well, proficiency
Standard?
bonus is an aesthetic. It starts at aesthetic +2, but proficiency bonus you get more as you level up.
Yeah.
So with the charisma mod, I mean, you say average is a 3. I mean,
for casters, sure, but I would say as somebody who likes to create casters, like I would love it. I do everything in my power to get my casting class at least the +4 at character creation. If I can get it as a +4 at character creation, that's what I'm going to do. And then shortly after, bump it up to a level 5. Because now, again, as a warlock, I'm not a full caster. So I might not have that same mindset depending on if there's much more value. But again, as a warlock, charisma is really the only stat you need to mess with.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really need to mess with strength. Dex, sure, Dex is valuable for everybody, but nothing that a warlock does actually scales off of dexterity.
I mean, Constitution's always good, especially because you want to stay up longer.
Always, but nothing is going to be more important than my charisma, because the better my charisma, the better damage I'm going to do, the better saving throws I'm going to have, the better everything I'm going to have. Like a monk, you want to spread that shit out. You already got 2 things that help your unarmored defense, plus your wisdom modifier for all your saving throws. So you have 3 stats you really want to get really big as a monk, right? And so you got 3 different things to focus on, but as a warlock, it's just 1.
Right.
So,
well, let's go down, because Codex does say that other abilities will affect this, but so let's skip ahead real quick to what these effects actually are.
Okay.
So we can keep those in mind as we see what the other abilities do.
That's very fair.
It is so you roll a d10. So how does this work again? Okay, so whenever you use Eldritch Blast, when you roll damage for 1 or more of Eldritch Blast, choose one of the d10s.
Because the way Eldritch Blast works is once you hit level 5, you get a second beam, and you get to roll an additional dice for each one of those beams.
So you start out with 1, then you get 2, and then you'll get more and more.
But you just basically
So it says choose one of the d10s. I'm assuming that just means one of the beams because it's okay. So basically, as you do it, you're going to be able to add effects. Now it says 1 or more, so I don't know if that means I'm going to get to do more than one thing, or if that's just whenever there's at least.
Does it say once per turn?
No, it just says you can use this effect equal to your charisma modifier every long rest.
Interesting. Very interesting. Now, something that will be very important to me is when it says choose a d10. Is that before or after I roll?
Right, so let us know about that, because it just says choose the d10. So it says when you roll for damage. So you've already hit.
Mm-hmm.
And you're about to roll for damage. So I guess, let's say I've hit you with 2, and I'm about to roll my 2d10.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I choose one of those 2.
Interesting.
I would choose one. So I rolled 2d20, right? To attack you. Or 2d10 to attack you. I'm going to say that second one. So the first one rolled an 8, the second one rolled a 6.
Sure.
I want the 6 to now have this new effect. But it's going to be based on that number. So I roll both of them, and then I say that one gets the special effect.
Sure.
So out of those special effects, there's 10 different ones. So it's going to be based on it's going to be based on the damage that you do.
Okay.
So that also might be something to keep in mind, that this isn't really because is it in addition to the damage, or are we replacing the damage with this ability? It
sounds like in addition to the damage.
Oh, in addition. Yeah, okay. So it is in addition. Okay. So keep in mind that this will be based on the damage output that you do. Okay. So The first one, if you do 1 point of damage with Eldritch Blast, you can, and you choose that particular one, you get the Fool. The target has the prone condition. If it has immunity to the prone condition, it is instead pushed 15 feet in a direction of your choice.
Okay.
That's a
Interesting.
lot. That's a lot for a level 3, like just right out the gate. But I mean, again, it's not guaranteed. These aren't things that you can just do. These are based off of whether or not you actually rolled this number.
Sure.
So if I rolled that 2d10 and one of them was a 1 and I want you prone, I'd have to say this one does that.
I will say that is also almost identical to an invocation that you can get that does that to every single one of your blasts. Like you have repelling blast that it's not 15 feet, it's 10 feet, but it'll already like push you back that far, and you get that at level 2.
Right.
Oh well, not level 2. I'm not sure what it is in 2024. But you still might get that at level 2.
Okay.
So anyways.
So, you're sacrificing, I mean, you're not sacrificing, but if you don't get a whole lot of damage out of it, at least you'd be able to knock him prone or push him.
Now, the prone would be wild, because then everybody gets advantage.
Yeah. So if you rolled a 2, you get the Magician. The target takes additional force damage equal to your proficiency bonus, and the next attack roll an ally makes against it has advantage.
It takes additional force damage. Oh, okay.
Number 3, the High Priestess. You or an ally within 30 feet of you regains hit points equal to 6 plus your charisma modifier. Any excess becomes temporary hit points.
Interesting.
It's not a huge amount, but it's not.
I like the concept of excess healing becoming temporary hit points. I like that concept because
I think that should be standard, to be honest. Like anything that's magical healing, that should just be the standard. I think that should just be a
I would agree.
I don't know why it isn't just the standard rule that magical healing will always transfer into temporary hit points over your max. Like, because to me, it just makes sense. Like that absolutely makes sense to do. Number 4. Be careful not to hit that. I almost turned off the stream.
Rip.
Let's see. Number 4, the Emperor. The target must succeed a strength saving throw or have its speed reduced to 0 until the start of your next turn.
Okay.
5, the Lovers. An ally of your choice within 60 feet of you has resistance to damage dealt by the target until the start of your next turn.
Ally. Oh, okay.
Has resistance to damage dealt.
So
interesting.
If one of my allies is in melee with somebody, I can be like, I'm going to shoot the guy you're in melee with, and you now are resistant to that damage.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it just says resistant to damage, so that's any damage they throw out. So
yes,
that's again, none of these are guaranteed, but that's pretty hefty. Let's see. We got number 6, the Chariot. You can immediately move up to 30 feet without provoking opportunity attacks. So it's basically the disengage and dash.
Sweet.
The Tower is number 7. Until the start of your next turn, the target's speed is halved, and it can only make 1 attack if it has the attack action.
Real quick on the Chariot, I will say, in order for that one to be valuable, you have to be adjacent to somebody, which means you have disadvantage on ranged attacks. And this is all attached to your Eldritch Blast. So, unless you're against something that has range, because then, unless you're something has reach, because if you're fighting against something that has reach, I don't think you get disadvantage on your ranged attacks if you're outside of that 5 feet. I think you have to be adjacent to them.
Yeah, I don't know how 5th edition, especially in 2024, because these are 2024 rules. So I'm not even sure how 2024 rules calls that.
Anyways,
let us know if you know Codex.
Number 6. Sorry, you immediately move 30 feet, and then number 7. To the start of your next turn, the target's speed is halved, and they can only.
So what's interesting is, I will say so far, number 7 is, I won't say it's my least favorite. It's the first one that gives me pause, because number 7 and number 4. Well, okay, no. So number 4, the target has to say the strength saving throw or be reduced to 0. This is just automatically their half, and they only make 1 attack. So they're very similar. One's just a little bit more hefty if they don't make their saving throw.
I will say, so far, number 4 is the only one that requires them to make a saving throw, and it's the only one where if they make a saving throw, nothing happens.
True. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's the only one that gives me pause, because they're very similar. I'm just curious where the split up happens, right?
Sure. Although I will say I like the idea of only one attack. It's almost like you're slowing them or something like that.
Yeah. That's why I like that one. I think more than just the strength saving throw to be reduced to 0.
Sure.
Let's see. So number 8, the star. You and an ally within 60 feet of you gain a heroic inspiration. I'm not familiar with heroic inspiration.
I don't know how similar that is to bardic inspiration, whether you just get to add a die, or if it's meant to be like DM inspiration, where you get like to roll an extra d20 or something.
Right. Yeah, I'm not. Is this? I'm assuming that this is a standard feature for 5th edition. Is this heroic inspiration? I've never heard of it.
I feel like I've heard of it, but I don't know in what context. Again, I don't.
Kodak, give us some
background if you have it.
Yeah. Let us know the source of this, because I could Google it real quick. Is it? Oh, maybe it's a 2020. Is it a 2024 rule?
Oh, that could be a thing.
It looks like it might be a 2024 rule.
If you, a player character, have heroic inspiration, you can expend it to re-roll any die immediately. After re-rolling it, you must use the new roll. If you gain heroic inspiration but already have it, it is lost unless you give it to a player character who lacks it. Interesting. It's
so saving throw, attack, or ability check.
Die, even damage. So
or even a hit die. Okay.
It's not a d20. It's any die.
It's any die. You just basically you can re-roll any die, but you must take the second roll. So it's basically it's not quite advantage, but it's what is, isn't there like the the halfling, like the luck feat or whatever kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Because theirs was you can't roll ones, but I thought there was another feature from another race that you can kind of do that.
There is I don't remember exactly what it is. But yeah.
You can even damage. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, 2 people. That's interesting. The more I read these, the more I'm glad that none of these are like guaranteed. They're like completely situational.
You have to roll the dice in order to get it.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, Codex, but you only get like one of these. So every time I attack with Eldritch Blast, I only get to do one of these on one of my attacks, right? Because if I do 4 beams, I can't choose all 4, right? It has to be. It's only 1 die. Yeah, for now it's only 1 die. At least this early in your class.
Well, where is that restriction stated?
I'm pretty sure that's in the 3rd level. It says choose 1 die, but I think it means that you're going to be able to do that to more of them later.
Yeah.
So starting at 3rd, you only get one of these no matter how many you've
you only have 1 beam until you hit 5th level. So until 5th level. But that would be my question, is once you hit 2nd level, theoretically, if you have more than 1 charge of this thing, what will stop you from unloading both charges?
Right. And that's so choose one of the D20. Yeah, so that it specifically says choose one of the D20s. When you roll 1 or more, it says choose one of them. So, or the D10s.
Oh, D10s.
So it's only 1 right now, at least this early.
Oh,
only 1
got you. So it is theoretically, it's once per Eldritch Blast. Because if you Action Surge or something like that, you could theoretically cast another Eldritch Blast. So
can you with that? Is that considered 2 spells in the same turn?
So even if you are a wizard and you take a dip a level in fighter, you can cast 2 leveled spells in 1 turn.
Really?
If you have Action Surge, because you get a full other action. I think
I still thought, at least in 2014, I still thought they still had the 1 spell per round period, even with Action Surge. I may be wrong on that one. Again, I don't play 5th edition religiously, but I swore at least 5e14 had the hard rule. It doesn't matter what you've done. One primary spell per round.
I forget exactly where the wording is, but there has been a lot of clarification.
Oh, 2024 does not let you cast a 2nd spell with Action Surge.
2024 took that away?
Interesting.
Wild. Okay.
And again, I'm torn because I I don't know how I feel about how they've adjusted like magic casting. I mean, I know that that's kind of just been an old school rule, one spell at a time just because they're so powerful, but I just feel like regardless of whether or not it's a good ruling, I never really like the way that they've implemented it, right? It's like it's always felt like a struggle to make that work properly, right? To make it feel good. That you only get like one leveled spell per round. Let's see. So you can push yourself over your normal limits for a moment on your turn. You can take one additional action except the magic action. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until sort of long rest, starting at 17th. You can use it twice before a rest, but
God bless America.
Yeah, but you cannot do that. So I wonder, was that specifically changed from 14 to 24? Like,
probably.
So in 14, were you able to do 2 spells?
I'm pretty confident because I can't tell you how many memes that I've seen of that.
Interesting.
Dang.
Okay.
We got to go over the 2024 one of these days, man.
Yeah.
One of these days.
I don't know if I'll ever care enough to, but I mean, we kind of have to keep abreast of these new ideas for review purposes. Again, the irony that a 2nd edition player constantly reviews 5th edition shit. But I guess but that's kind of like, I think that's kind of like, why I do it though, is because I want to give a perspective of an old school gamer on how things used to be and give my perspective on how that translates into 5th edition. So yeah, that's fascinating. Okay,
wild.
We got 2 more. So the moon, if you roll a 9, the target must succeed a wisdom saving throw, or it has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks until the start of your next turn.
Another saving throw one. Okay.
So interesting that it doesn't get disadvantage on saving throws, just attacks and ability checks. So it's not the full gambit, which I kind of like. And then if you roll a 10, Wheel of Fortune, choose any other effect from this table. So if you roll a 10, basically max damage, you get to then, on top of that, choose the effect.
Fire. So whenever you roll damage, anytime you roll a 10, I'm choosing that die.
Yeah. So I'm torn. Like, based off of the options that we have,
each one of those options has a 20% chance of being hit.
Yes. And I see why you went with the idea that it's after you roll the damage, then you choose the ability, because then you're going to know which one could potentially go off.
Sure.
But my gut says that that's not the right way to do it. My gut would be that I'm going to roll attack on you and I'll be like, oh, and by the way, this one here is going to get the bonus. So I do 10 points of damage and 5 points of damage. Oh, and then an ally of my choice.
I would say,
like, you know what I mean?
That leans way more into the fortune aspect of things and the more chance aspect of things.
Yeah, and that's why I think that's where I would go with it. I don't know if that's the right choice for 5th edition, because I see, based off of these choices, I see that a lot of this is situational. And so it's kind of one of those, you roll the dice and go, oh, I could do that, or I could do, no, I don't want any of those, never mind. That's where I see it kind of happening, is you get to choose. Now, again, like you pointed out, that doesn't feel very fortuitous. That just feels very controlly. Like you're in control of it more than it being a fortune. But at the same time, it's also, I could see that being a little bit of a bog down. Like every time they roll, they have to check their list and go, no, I don't want that one. Okay, I do want it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'd much rather just say, yes, I'm using this ability this time around, and the die right there is going to be it, then roll. Like, I would feel more comfortable with that, but I'm not going to say that it would work better that way.
Yeah, I think I would actually love to see this in practice, to see how quickly the average person, like, I can see myself getting good at it, getting good at running this on my turns, because I'm going to know, all right, when it's my turn, I have 2 or 3 options that I'm willing to accept now. It's either going to be a 10 or the specific ones that I want.
If you're a good player, yes. If you're a good player and you're like, okay, I know which 3 I want to happen,
and
if they don't, I'm just going to move on.
So when I roll my damage dice and I see, did I get any of the numbers I want? Nope, not using it. All right, move on.
Yeah, that right there would probably be the solution to not bog down the game and to make this super seamless.
Sure. Yeah. And so like that, but I can definitely see somebody being like, is this one I want? Oh, no, it's not the one I want. Oh, but I could do this. No, but so like I can see the potential for that. But I think
that's where personal preference.
Like the concept.
Yeah, so personal preference, I would probably run it that you just, if you're going to roll multiple dice, you literally say this dice is the one, whatever I roll is going to get the bonus, and then you just roll with it from there. That would be the way I would run it. again, I'm not going to say that that's how it would work better, though.
Sure.
Just because, again...
What would you say about something similar, but it would be like, hey, unless I roll a 10 or an X, I'm not going to use it. So you say it beforehand, you state what you're going to use it for, and then if it's not that, you don't use it.
Say that again?
So you before you use it, you say, I'll only use it this attack if it's a 10 or a 5.
Oh, so you just pre-call. You're like, okay, I'm using Eldritch Blast, and if I roll a 3, 5, or 10, I'm using it.
Yes.
It's a 2, never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Like, that way, I get to basically save it, and I'm not wasting it if it doesn't actually go off. And
I mean, to be fair, that's not much different than choosing it after you see it, but same concept.
But it's a lot quicker, and it's bot things down a lot. You know.
Okay.
That's the concept I'm getting at.
And Codex, it seems that Codex saying that it's going to scale to the point to where you're going to be able to get 4 of these. Like when you up to 4 of your blasts will be able to have this bonus by level 17.
Shit, I mean that's when you get 4 blasts.
Yeah, so it's going to basically constantly scale with you. Every time you get a new blast, you're going to add, more of these. You just get 4 beams, not 4. I misinterpreted what they said. No, just yes, you will get 4 beams.
Okay,
but I thought that they were saying that you're going to up to 4 abilities.
And maybe that is the case. You have the ability to do it on 4 beams at once by the time you get 4 beams, which is very possible.
Yeah, we'll see on that one. So yeah, I like this. This still is much better than the spells. Like this concept of having one spell that has something that happens. I like that. Right. Sure. I've done things like this. I've had modifications and bonuses. Most of the time, again, my stuff is chance based, but I like the spread of what can happen here. None of these are like uber powerful. I mean, being able to knock someone prone this early in the game, like again, it's not consistent. So that's the benefit right there. Like you could individualize these and say, hey, some of these are pretty powerful, but only if they were guaranteed. Like they're only powerful if it was like every round I could be like, this
goes
happening.
Off when I say it goes off.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's where I think like the biggest benefit is you have to get one of these numbers, right? You have to actually roll it and go in with it. So that would be, yeah. I'm not upset with any of these.
I don't think it worked with Magic. First of all, my first question is, does that no magic attack? I'm gonna have to go back and read it, but like when it comes to like the magic action on
Codex already gave it to us. So magic action. When you take the magic action, you cast a spell that has a casting time of an action, or use a feature or magic item that requires the magic action to be activated. If you cast a spell that has a casting time of 1 minute or longer, you must take the magic action on each turn of that casting, and you must maintain concentration while you do so. If your concentration is broken, the spell fails. But if you don't expend the spell slot, You know what's fun? I really love that they added that in there, because before you just couldn't cast those during combat. But imagine if you're having like a really long combat and somebody's trying to do some like kind of ritual spell or something like that. Like I love being able to do that throughout combat, and you can still like move around, you still use bonus actions, but your action is that. But my question is, what about cantrips? Can I not cast 2 cantrips? Well, that's why the magic action specifically cast a spell that has a casting time of an action.
Yeah, but
so cantrips aren't that.
Plenty. Yeah, they are. Plenty of cantrips have the casting time of 1 action.
Oh, okay. Well, then those ones would not be available.
So like,
it would have to be any cantrip that's not an action to cast.
Because if I use a action surge to do 2 sets of melee attacks versus casting 2 cantrips, like that to me is equivalent. That to me should be totally fine. Like the leveled spells, sure, but cantrips, like let me sling my cantrips, like anyways. Yeah. But
no, and I get you there. That's why, that's cantrips are always been one of those weird areas, because in older and here's probably part of the reason why that's a struggle is in older editions, cantrips were not nearly as powerful. Like cantrips are fucking powerful in 5th edition. You know what I mean? Like Eldritch Blast is a powerful cantrip.
Sure.
Most cantrips back in the day, you'd be hard pressed to find a cantrip that could do damage. Most cantrips were based on RP or like utility.
Yeah.
And I think now that you have the concept, like because basically what 5th edition did was say, hey, our magic casters need a basic attack too.
They need to have something they can do when they run out of spell slots.
Yeah. And well, and just a basic attack, because not every spell is a basic attack. They're big attacks, right? It's kind of like any paladin has divine smite, but they're not divine smiting every strike. They still have just a basic swing. That's where I think 5th edition came in with these cantrips of, well, we need a basic swing for a non-melee, non-ranged attacking creature, so let's give them these attacking cantrips. But that did skew things quite a bit when it comes down to, do cantrips count as magic, or do they count as free shit? And that's where I think they did this, is saying that if it has the magic action, if it actually takes a full action, because if they have split some cantrips to not have that, it makes sense that
there are some that are bonus actions. It's
so
very rare.
So then those would be double. Like you could do 2 of those. With
you'd only be able to do 1 because you only get 1 bonus action, because your action surge doesn't give you another bonus action.
Yeah, that's right. So technically, maybe they have completely gotten rid of 2 spells.
I mean, you can theoretically use sorcery points to cast a action spell as a bonus action and then cast a action spell. You can do that.
Yeah.
But outside of that, you ain't got nothing.
Interesting. Okay. So yeah, I'm not mad at any of these. I think that these definitely all these are all really good utility for combat. I don't really dislike any of them. And I think that the key here is that, again, you don't get to choose which one's going off unless you roll a 10.
Sure.
And even then, it's kind of like, it's kind of like a crit, right? Like you get max damage, so you just get to choose what's going to happen to them. All right, cool. So going back to 3rd level. So the 3rd level gives us the ability to actually use this Deck of Fate whenever we're going to cast Eldritch Blast.
I will say just one last super quick thing. The healing one, it said your charisma modifier. I think I would change that to your level, because once you get in higher level, your charisma modifier of healing ain't gonna do crap for you.
Well, because it says say equals to 6 plus your charisma modifier. I mean, yeah, 6 is also
like 6 plus 5 at level 15 is what, 11?
Yeah,
I did 11 healing at level 15. Things are hitting me for 30 damage each round. Like, what's 11?
Yeah, I could definitely see that being like equal to your level plus your charisma modifier, instead of a flat 6. Like, do you think it should be something like that?
I was gonna say your charisma modifier would change to your level, but yeah, if you want to change your charisma modifier to your level, Well,
I was just saying, like, instead of having the base 6, what if it was just you regain hit points equal to your level plus your charisma modifier? So get rid of the base 6, and it's always going up every level.
I would keep the base 6, because the 6 is like minimum healing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, 6 is a lot at lower levels. Like,
that's what I was thinking. Like, if it starts with your level right now, you'd only have 3 plus your charisma modifier.
Sure.
Which could still be 6.
Sure.
And then next level, it's just going to go up and up and up and up and up. So different ways that you could do it. Get it because how often you could use it. Resourceless. Or yeah, okay.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, you could use it, but how often you actually going to proc it? That specific one. Unless you get a 10 or a 3, you're not getting this one. Right?
And then,
but it doesn't have
how often would you choose to do it later in the game? Again, like it's unlikely that's really gonna benefit anybody late game.
Sure. So you'd likely just choose different ones, but it refreshes on. Yeah, that's true. Most things refresh on a short rest for warlocks.
Yeah.
But no, I totally get you, Codex. That might have been the smart play. Anyways, not to get distracted from what we're actually freaking doing.
So now that we can do that with Eldritch Blast, let's move on to our 6th level feat, which is Beat the Odds. So Fate bends to protect you. When you take damage or fail a saving throw, you can use your reaction to roll a d10. On a 1 through 9, you reduce the damage you take, or add a bonus to the roll, potentially causing it to succeed. The amount of damage reduced or the bonus equal to your the amount of damage reduced or the bonus equals your charisma modifier. On a 10, you instead take no damage or automatically succeed your saving throw and immediately regain 1 expended use of Deck of Fate. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your charisma modifier, minimum of once, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
You can do this a number of times equal to your charisma modifier. I don't mind charisma modifier here. I really like the ability to regain an expended use of the Deck of Fate. Number one, it's not infinitely regaining it. I can only potentially regain charisma modifier number of these, and I'll only do that if I roll a 10 when I do that. So it's likely that every cycle of these, every long rest cycle of these, I'm gonna get maybe 2.
Yeah. And the fact that it's using the reaction, I know that warlocks don't have as many opportunities to use reaction, so it's nice to see that. We always like using reaction as an economy because it is so scarce. Like it is one of those things where you need to be able to pay attention to that.
Sure.
And because it does have that variability, because you don't know exactly what's going to happen. I don't mind it. Like this is the kind of thing that I don't necessarily mind, because this is essentially what I mean by this is more about fortune than just choosing things to happen, right? Because many things need to hit at the same time. I mean, it is.
I would drop the 1. I'd say on a 1 nothing happens.
Okay. I do not disagree with that at all.
Again, I get
granted, I'm going to use your own logic against you, because this is what you would normally say to me if I were to say something like that, but it does suck to take away that from the player. Like, why would I want an ability that nothing could happen?
I'll say this. I would not be mad at if you roll a 1, it doesn't expend a use of this.
Oh, so absolutely. Absolutely. Nothing happens at all.
It just nothing happens at all. You don't expend a use of it, but it doesn't go off right now. So, hey, maybe I'm trying to clutch up and like use this at an opportune moment, but I happen to roll a 1. It doesn't go off right now, but I still theoretically have the ability to continue using it.
Right.
So
okay. That's a solution that I can get behind.
That would help.
And I only bring that up because normally that's what you bring up to me.
It is very much.
And giving the opportunity to do something and then nothing happens feels bad in 5th edition. Now, granted, does not feel bad in earlier editions because that was the point of
a lot of the things.
It was the whole point of things could potentially not happen. But yeah, I don't disagree that if you rolled a 1, just nothing happens and you move on. So I could see that being a benefit. But overall, I think that this is a really unique one, because when it comes to most spellcasters, when it comes to most spellcasters, because you're that glass cannon, it does kind of suck to get targeted. This is like that opportunity to get the hell away, right? The opportunity to just not be the focus of the enemy for a time.
Again, when it comes to the amount of damage reduced, it's just your charisma modifier. I kind of wish,
which isn't going to be, it's going to be great early on.
I kind of wish it was like your charisma modifier plus your level or something like that. So like when you're level 15, all right, I'm stopping 15 points of damage. Again, that's not.
You know what it should be? Here's what it should be. On a 1, nothing happens and you don't lose, and you don't expend a use.
Mm-hmm.
On an 8 or on a 2 through 9, the amount of damage reduced is equal to the number rolled plus your charisma modifier.
Even still, like that's a max of 9 plus
5.
9 plus 5.
Because again, remember, it's also saving. It's a saving throw or damage, so it's not just damage. But that saving throw, you could roll so crappy on a saving throw that could mean the difference, the absolute difference.
So I'll say, that's what's crazy. Okay, so
that's why I'm thinking it could be bigger. Because yes, you're right. I think that's not enough damage reduction, regardless.
I honestly think anything over 5 is way too much for a saving throw.
Okay,
but I think damage reduced, anything under 5 is like pretty much useless.
That's like catch-22, right?
It's like, so I would almost want them to have slightly different scales. You know what I mean? Like I almost feel like,
but you don't want to overcomplicate it by giving just this if then this.
But I love what it does. I'm fine with it for now. Again, I would say I would almost exclusively use this on saving throws in later times, earlier times for sure. I'm gonna always use it for HP. But
and that's the thing, is I feel like that's what this is all about. Is it's going to just shift throughout the game. Like I don't think anybody past level 8 is ever going to use this to reduce damage. Like, what's the likelihood that reducing damage by 5 is going to matter?
Sure.
After level 8, you know what I mean? Because at level 8, would you should be having close to 50 hit points by level 8, if not more. Well, as a warlock, I mean, at least as a warlock, you should be having around there.
You got a D10 for your die?
Yeah. So by that point, 5 points is unlikely going to be the difference between you
Going
making
down or
saving
not.
throws
Yeah,
or
yeah.
not. And again, we've talked about this before. In 5th edition, the only hit point that matters is the last one.
Yeah.
So who is going to care about reducing this 28 points of damage by 5? I think I'd much always rather a saving throw because the saving throw is half damage. 90% of the time, me failing a saving throw or not, we're talking about full half-ass damage. Like you could be hitting me with 40 points of damage and it goes down to 20. But you're telling me the alternative is I reduce it by 5?
Here's how I change it. To keep it simple, because I totally get what you're talking about, Codex. Like, you wanted to keep it concise, and I totally agree with that. Because the saving throw is adjusting a roll, make the other one adjust a roll. When you get hit, but not when you take damage. It's not reducing damage, it's adjusting the roll. It's adjusting the to-hit roll. So it's almost like a bane on the to-hit roll to potentially cause
and
it
you know
to
what?
miss.
That is so much better because we're talking about fortune and fate. Changing the chance of you being hit is better than changing how much damage they did. Just because, again, you have to explain, like, how did that you take less damage from that, sword or whatever. But yes, the simple fact that fate adjusted enough to where it missed you.
Sure.
I'm 100% behind that.
So
right there. Yes,
I do agree with you, Codex. Not all damage is attacks, but the majority of other damage that isn't attacks is saving throw, and you have something that catches that.
Right.
And the other stuff is like potentially guaranteed damage, where it's like there's nothing you can do to avoid it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's okay that some stuff can just hit you. You know what I mean? But I do agree. But like I don't know. I like that solution just because you can keep it super simple. It makes the amount that you're adjusting it by actually feel significant. And like it's going to be valuable even when I reach level 20, because I can adjust the to hit roll by 5, potentially.
I am 100% behind you on that one. I think that I would 100% change that to not damage reduction,
and then I'd be totally fine with it
roll
just being your charisma modifier.
And then at that point, it doesn't matter. Any point in the game, this becomes valuable because just like with what Codex just said in chat, this is absolutely, everybody can see that this is going to be damage reduction early game and then saving throw late game. But why lock this in dirt? Like why create this to be that dichotomy? Why create this to have two different uses that most likely are only going to be used at different points of the game? I'm 100% behind the idea that should be adjusting the attack roll, because even by adjusting it by up to 5, could easily still hit you, right? Like even if you still rolled it. Now, granted, there could be times where you're like, wait, how much did you beat me by? Oh, it's not even worth trying. Like, you could do that, but then you don't expend the use. But if you look at them and go, oh, you hit me by what? By 3 over? No, I'm doing my fate thing because I potentially could knock you down, right?
Yep.
Well, I mean, not even potentially, because see, I think that even more so, we need the one as a non-starter. I think that even more so, because if we are changing it to the attack roll, you're basically guaranteed, if you know how much they beat your AC by, you're guaranteed, if I use this,
Sure.
I'm not going to get hit. So that one that does nothing, I think would be the clutch for me to say that, yeah, it would work perfect if 1 did nothing, 2 through 9 did the base, and 10 did, just erased it completely.
Sure.
I think absolutely those would be better, right? Like, I think that would be the better spread, and it feels more fortuitous to be missed than to just take reduced damage.
Sure.
How do you feel about keeping damage level but adding half warlock level as the adjustment? So it'll adjust by half your warlock level.
That means at level 20, I have the ability to
You adjust damage by 10 or your saving throw by 10, which you're basically guaranteed to, pass your saving throw at that point.
Is there anything added to the warlock level, or is it just flat warlock level? Is it warlock level and charisma?
I don't know.
10 plus charisma?
Well, they were saying that because Artificer's Flash of Genius applies to others, but this one only like applies to you.
Oh, interesting.
So that would make sense. I would not. I think that would be a phenomenal alternative because I think we're both on the same page.
Sure.
That the fact that this does so little and it really does prove that you're only going to use this for life at early levels and then you're going to ditch that whole half of the purpose of this ability does kind of just say that, hey, half this ability becomes useless by a certain level.
So
I think that is one solution, but I think yours is an alternative as well.
If we do half your Warlock level, being able to just add a +10 to a singular roll, like that feels wild to me.
But it's only a saving throw. It would only be adding that to a saving throw versus reducing damage. We're going back to the original.
Sure. But like, even to a saving throw, it's like,
because that just basically guarantees that you're gonna get the saving throw. Like there's no saving throw that you would make that 10 won't guarantee. A +10 won't basically. Like you're
basically giving them legendary resistance. Lightweight.
Yes.
Lightweight.
And that's why I don't mind. I don't think that would be a bad way to do it. I think it's better than it's currently.
I mean, especially that high level. Yeah, I'm not super mad at that.
So I will say that Codex, yes. As it's written, I think your solution there of half level would be fine if you wanted to keep damage reduction. I think Kage's onto something when he was suggesting remove the damage and just change the attack roll. Because then you can use that charisma modifier, because changing it by up to 5, like, whether or not that's going to benefit you.
Yeah.
And if someone swings at you and they beat your AC by 6, you're just not going to proc this. You're not going to use an expenditure. But if they only beat you by 2,
heck yeah.
Yes, I'm going to use this. I'm going to change that hit to a miss. And again, that feels more like the patrons being like, you know what? Fate changed. He didn't actually hit you. That feels better than, well, he hit you, but it's only a scratch instead of a scrape, So I would say those are two very, very valid opportunities and alternatives. Now, keep in mind, remember, these are just suggestions from, two complete strangers on the internet. So take everything that we say with, a grain of salt.
Dang, I rolled an 11.
An 11.
Tell me if an 11 works. I don't know what your charisma is.
Like, do you get a bonus? Can you use beat the odds?
Oh yeah, let me
roll your d10.
Let me roll my d10 to see if I can bump.
But also keep in mind too that our whole purpose here is to make sure that you're comfortable with the build. If you listen to us after all of this and all you find out is no, I have it exactly the way I want it to, then we've done our job. We're not here to get you to change your mind. We're literally just here to give you a perspective to make sure that what you've built is comfortable and makes sense to you.
Yes, exactly.
Just because I don't agree with it, just because he doesn't agree with it, doesn't mean anything, right? Our job is to just give you our opinions, but also give you the opportunity to hear a rebuttal and find out, are you questioning it now? And if you're not, if you're like, nah, I don't buy what you guys are saying, it's still perfect, then we've done our job. Like, our job is just to make sure that you're happy with it at the end after getting an alternative.
My favorite thing to do in any sort of debate is to play devil's advocate. Most people hate me for that, but I love trying to see things from the other side of whatever it is to just kind of test the bounds. That's what I think a lot more people, I would appreciate if a lot more people would do for me, like test the bounds of like my mindset.
I do too all the time.
Yeah, of course. And I love it. That's what I'm here for. And so it's one of those things where it helps you either solidify or to mold your mentality into the direction that you ultimately want it to go.
And that's also why neither of us care whether or not this it's the exact reason why I do this for 5th edition. Like, sure. I could sit here and do this for people who also play 2nd, but first off, no one plays 2nd anymore. And secondly,
there's people on TikTok. I've seen some old school.
But at the same time, 2nd edition was meant for stuff like this. 2nd edition was meant to be homebrewed. 5th edition, there's a lot more
uniformity.
Yeah. And so me bringing my ideas to the table isn't to say that I'm right or that my way is better. It's just to make sure that that as players, as DMs, as people from different backgrounds and perspectives, we're all challenging, does this work the way we think it should, right? And does this work the way we want it to? Now, it doesn't matter what we want. It matters what you want and how your build works. And And just for people in chat too, they want, maybe they want to figure out a different way to use it. So
I'm sure if Pokeniner was here, he would have a lot to say about all the things.
Pokeniner always has some things to say. All right, so that would say Beat the Odds is awesome. I don't mind it. I would say that both of you have come up with in my opinion, a better version. Either half Warlock level as Codex suggested, or change it to the damage from damage to attack roll, and keeping the modifier. And the reason why I like that one, I think the most, is it doesn't kill half this ability halfway through the campaign.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm guaranteed to use that, like both of those. For the saving throw and for the potential attack.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about this too, because you can only use your reaction, things with multi-attack. If this thing is going to go 3 attacks and it's like, oh, it hits you once, that's fine. Oh, it hits you a second time. One more. Crit. Reroll that bitch. Like, that's what I'm talking about, right? It's that moment of a multi-attack where you're like, no, that one. I don't want that one, right? Instead of it being the damage, I just want that roll gone. I don't want to be hit by that. That makes me feel like I would be so much more inclined to use that throughout the entire campaign. And again, saving throws. Being able to almost guarantee that I cut damage in half, like guaranteed off of a reaction. And again, the idea that it's a reaction is so perfect for a Warlock being able to do that, because it's almost like it's not you reacting, it's your patron reacting on behalf of you. And then I still think, the 10 is just a guaranteed get out of jail free card. I think that's fine. But I also agree that having a 1 that just doesn't work makes it feel better for me.
Sure.
But the next one is also level 6.
Okay.
We had Beat the Odds. Now we have Stack the Deck. Also,
I don't know if that's standard. Is that standard in 2024? 2 level 6 abilities?
Let us know.
But yeah.
Let us know. So Stack the Deck. Excuse me. Oh, this is unique. I don't think I've ever heard of this. You have advantage on initiative moves. I don't think I've heard of anything giving you advantage on initiative.
There's a ranger something that does that. I don't know if it's Gloomstalker or...
It would be the Gloomstalker of all of them. So in addition, you now regain all of your expended uses of Deck of Fate when you finish a short or long rest, and you regain temporary hit points equal to 5 times the number of uses... Oh, gotcha. So if you have 3 uses of Deck of Fate that you used up, and you take a short rest and regained 3 uses, right? Like you didn't have them and now you have them again. You now have 15 temp HP. So you get 5 temp HP per use you got back from the rest.
Okay. And that's specifically after short rest, I'm assuming, because after long rest, you're just gonna have...
You're gonna heal up anyway. Yeah. It just says you gain temporary hit points equal to 5 times the number uses regained. So I don't think it matters, actually. I think even after a long rest, you'd still wake up with temporary hit points. And honestly, I like the temporary hit points because short rests don't always heal you to max. But I don't think that getting you static HP is right. Now, I will say this too. With 5th edition,
that's actually
I think there needs to be more going on with temporary HP. Like, I think there just needs to be more, because it's almost just too loose in terms of what it really is. Because there's just almost not a difference, right, in whether or not you get real HP or not, because it will go away. But
I'll say the biggest difference is you can't heal it and it doesn't last forever.
That's what I mean. It's like that's really I just wish there was like something that 5th edition would do more with temp HP.
Sure.
But yes, I absolutely think that this is phenomenal. Completely side note now. This just makes me want to have an ability, a feat, a magic item, or even a subclass that has a conversion rate. Like, can you imagine that a subclass or a feat that lets you, if you have temp HP during a short or long rest, a percentage of it converts to actual HP? That would be interesting. To be able to actually say, like, I have 20 temporary HP, but I'm going to do something, and now 5 of that, even though I lose 20 temp HP, 5 gets converted to regular HP. That could be an interesting, not with this. This has nothing to do with this particular class, but for some reason it gave me an idea for that.
That's very interesting. I kind of like that idea.
Interesting. Alert feat is similar to advantage on initiative since it gives a +5. Okay, that makes sense.
You get a whole bunch. Where there's a unless it's the assassin rogue. Because there's some build where it's just like
want to go first.
There is a build that says that yeah, you just get to be first in initiative, I think, once. Or it's the very first initiative, I think you get to. Like, I think it's like, if no one else is gone, you become first in initiative when combat starts. I do think that you're right on that one.
Dread Ambusher, you give yourself a bonus in your initiative roll equal to your wisdom modifier. Not exactly the same thing.
Yeah, not quite the same.
Okay, yeah, maybe it's not, but yeah, there's a couple that affect your initiative rolls, but maybe this is the only one that actually gives you advantage. That's why
I've never heard of advantage on an initiative, because it's one of those things where I don't think anybody
Gift of Alacrity. Gift of Alacrity. Let me look at that real quick.
Interesting. Okay, thank you, Hecate.
What's a first level spell?
It's a spell though.
In 5th edition, it is, you can add a D8 to your initiative rolls, not advantage.
Unless that's in 2024.
Unless it's in 2024, because they be changed.
So interesting, yeah. But I think that's phenomenal. I think advantage on initiative is cool because it's one of those things. It's a cool concept without it being OP. So at 6th level, I think it's phenomenal to have it 6th level. It's it's not too early to basically make you feel like you're like you're not giving the player main character syndrome too early.
Sure.
But for what we know that this build can do so far, I think that's awesome. I think getting them ahead of everything is great. And I really do think that putting spellcasters first is always good when you can. Get those things out there to basically start controlling the battlefield, control the enemies, and get give your melee people an opportunity to push forward. I think that's awesome. And I really do like the temp HP for each of the regains of Deck of Fate.
Oh, Weapons of Warning. Forgot those were even you see, I don't mess with items like standard 5th edition items as much. Dude, I've been doing that all day.
Interesting. Weapons of Warning.
So it's like a weapon template. You can basically apply this to any template. It says the magic of this weapon warns you of danger while the weapon is on your person. You have advantage on initiative rolls. In addition, you and your companions within 30 feet can't be surprised except when
and companions
within 30 feet of you.
That's
can't be surprised unless you're.
I mean, it's a spell. It's a or no, that's just a template. That's a spell. But yeah, that's
an uncommon magic item.
That's crazy.
That's uncommon. That's wild.
That's a powerful magic item.
That's a feat. Like, that's basically having the alert feat for your whole freaking party,
right? Like I have something like I have something similar to that for especially when my character carries around a sentient weapon. That more often than not, especially if the sentience is battle minded or combat oriented, like Vixie has a weapon that does that can alert her. Basically, it's very difficult for her to get surprised.
So it'll actually wake you up. So you could say, screw watches. I'm just gonna stay asleep. Because you'll be incapacitated by anything other than non-magical sleep. Because if you're just regularly sleeping, it'll wake you up.
Yeah.
But if somebody puts you to sleep, no.
Yeah. But still, that's and that's very similar to what I would do for magical items. So yeah, that's crazy. All right, so stack the deck. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I have a unique alternative for this one.
For which one?
Stack the deck.
Okay.
I like the idea of you have advantage on initiative rolls. I like the idea that you also get your temporary HP. I don't know if this would replace the advantage or if it would be in addition to. But I got this inspiration from the name, Stack the Deck. And kind of what we were just talking about, like being able to do things for your team. So again, regardless of if you get the initiative or you get the advantage on initiative or not, you can add this as an addition to that. I don't think it would ruin it. Actually, I think it would even be better with initiative, because then you're just guaranteed to get a higher number. How cool would it be that Stack the Deck allows you to split your initiative amongst your peers? So I get an advantage on my initiative roll, right? And I get a higher number, but then I can divide it out, right? So let's say I get initiative and then I'm first initiative, but I don't want to be first initiative. What if I can give 2 initiative points to you? So I drop an initiative by 2.
If I rolled a 25 for initiative for whatever reason, because I got crazy initiative bonus, I can take 5 of those initiative and go down to 20, and somebody else can go up 5.
What if? Talk about like literal stacking the deck. Like you can basically be like, I don't need to go first, but you do. Or hey, you two, all of the enemies are going to go before us? No. First off, you go after that enemy, and then you're going to get to go after that enemy, so it's not all of the enemies versus all of us, it's one after another. That would be very interesting. Because then that way you could literally like...
I like the idea. My only concern is it'll get like too granular and people will try and get too...
Even if it was just one character you can give half your initiative to, or just something.
Like you can give a portion of your initiative to another player, to a singular other player, up to 5, right?
Yeah,
so it's
something like that.
I can give you 3 initiative points, or I can give you 5 initiatives. Like somebody that I need to go ahead of me.
Yes. These are. This is stack the deck and beat the odds. We're both 6, so they're hand in hand. But yeah, that would be. I just think that would be a unique way to do that. Being able to split your initiative with somebody else or with your party in some way. Now, yeah, it would be very min-maxy to everything. Like, okay, you're gonna get 5, and you're gonna get 2, and you're gonna get 1.
Yeah.
But just being able to do that at least just to one person, because you know how many times it's happened where like one person in the party will go, and it's the entire enemy team.
Yeah.
And then it's everybody else. Just being able to put one of your people into a different initiative spot, just so you know you're not just waiting for the entire, like that could be really interesting. Or shove someone else up front. Like let's say you're first initiative and you're able to bump someone up right after you, so it's 2 of you before the enemy. Like
sure.
Something like that would be really interesting.
I like that, but maybe even to simplify it, you can just say you can choose to switch initiatives with one another player. Just straight up, whatever you rolled, I'm gonna take it. Whatever I rolled, you're gonna take it.
That has a lot of tactical benefit. That has so much tactical benefit.
Right? And
because it's just a one time, I don't need to go first. In fact, I need to do something else. So here, you can take my initiative. Boop.
You could put the person that most needs to be first. Because theoretically...
What if it wasn't just your peers? What if it was anyone in initiative you can switch with? So at the start of initiative, you can switch with anyone's initiative. So you would be last, and you could say, hey, enemy, you're last in initiative now. BBEG, you're last in initiative now. Like, you could not just benefit your players, the other players, but you could literally destroy the enemy team by fucking with their initiative.
See, I am not gonna lie, I love this, especially for the fate concept and this being able to like control a lot of these things. Like, again, this might not be for this level, this might not be even for this build, but I just love the idea of just imagine at the start of combat, you can switch any 2 people in initiative. Like just any 2
just
people.
You two. You're oh.
It'd be like an ally, an enemy, 2 enemies, like 2 allies, whatever. Like I can just,
even if it was just like once per combat, you know what I mean? Or yeah, like that would be interesting. I like that idea of being able to modify.
Wait, what?
2024 alert feed is initiative swap. Immediately after you roll initiative, you can swap your initiative with the initiative of one willing ally in the same combat. You can't make the swap if you or the ally is incapacitated, and it's the only thing you're comfortable somewhat mimicking, giving the few other warlocks that get 2 6th level features.
That's crazy. I did not know 2024 had that already, but hey, get you some.
Crazy. Well, okay, then yes.
Yeah, it's something I would want to steal. Like there's some good stuff in there's some shitty stuff in 2024, but there's some good stuff too.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. So I would not mind having, whether you take that feat or not, but giving this warlock that doesn't sound that bad. But see, this is initiative swap, right? I think your idea, though, giving this warlock basically being like, you know what I mean? Just like, hey, Patron, help me out here. Can you just turn the tides of this battle to where those 2 go differently? That's not bad. That's not bad.
Clean. That's kind of clean. I love it. All
right, but no changes on stack the deck. I think that initiative or bonus on initiative and regaining with temporary HP, totally fine. And the later you are, right, the higher the level, the more deck of fates you're going to get back, so the more of those temp HP are going to be beneficial. Right? Yeah. That's dope. All right, so moving to level 10, we have Veil of Fortune. Your patron shields you and your allies with a touch of prophetic preparation. When you roll initiative, you regain expended uses of your deck of fate until you have 2, if you have fewer than that. So you only get back up to 2.
That's very similar to, what is it, a monk feature, where you get like certain things back. There's one where you get your like meta stuff back when you start combat. That's cool.
That's not bad, Codex. Be able to just tell an ally they can re-roll the initiative, but you have to use the new one.
Oh, okay.
That's not bad either.
Too.
That's totally fine too. Totally fine too. Okay, so this one you get up to 2 fates back. Now, see, this is interesting because this would be way more powerful in High Point than in 5th edition because I have Dynamic Edition. So this would be way too powerful in my combat system, but this also plays to a certain type of gameplay.
And High Point, I feel like we just say at the start.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on how powerful it could get. But the other thing that I'm looking here is this also really plays into the idea that your DM. This particular ability is going to depend on the DM and how often you do combat in between rests. Because realistically, this ability basically only helps you. Like, it always helps, like, any combat, because you're going to get 1 back. But it really is specific to you expect to have multiple combats between rests. And that, I don't know how common DMs do that in 5th edition, because it feels like, to me, the trope is that it's
combat rest.
And it feels like this would not be used at all, because you're going to have those rests in between. So that's my only comment. We still have more to read, but that was my only comment, is that I don't know how beneficial this would feel if you don't have a DM running 2 or 3 combats between rests. But the other part of that is that, in addition, when you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you makes a d20 test, like a contested roll, I don't know what that means, you can use your reaction to call on luck's shifting favor to cause that creature to re-roll it if you don't have the incapacitated condition. The creature must use the second roll. Once you use this reaction, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend a pack magic spell slot to restore your use.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it needs the last part, to be completely honest. I don't know if it needs yet another thing to replenish it, but that's neither here nor there. It's just...
Sure.
You know, the extra thing to keep in mind of, you know, ditching a spell just to be able to do this. Honestly, I'd probably just use the spell.
Oh.
But what exactly... So D20 test in 2024 shorthand for ability check, attack, roll, or saving throw. Gotcha.
Just rolling a D20.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, interesting. So whenever someone rolls a D20, you can use your reaction to basically make them reroll. Okay, there's really nothing wrong with that.
What is that? Basically, silvery barbs?
Yeah.
Lightweight?
Except that you don't... Like, 'cause silvery barbs, there's, like, damage and then... Right?
No, silvery barbs just re-roll that as a reaction.
Oh, I thought silvery barbs also do damage.
Let me check. It might.
Yeah, okay. So...
Triggering creature... targeting creature must reroll d20 and use the lower. So silvery barb specifically have to use the lower one.
Oh,
this one they just have to use. This one they just have to use the second one.
Gotcha. Which and see that right there again, much more about the fortune's favor, right? That is so much more of a you don't know what's going to happen. It's not just a guaranteed like, you know, counter move of you can't do that.
Sure.
It's you could turn, like, you could think you're doing a good thing and then turn something into a crit. Technically, you could turn something in from one success to a major success. Like, so I like that it doesn't necessarily benefit you by using it. I do really like that. The Kingdom of Silvery Barb solely because you can use it on an ally or an enemy, right? So yeah, I don't mind that one. I don't mind it. Again, I don't know if it really needs the spending a pack magic spell slot to get it back. I don't know if it needs that. Let's just snooze ads for right now. I don't know if it really needs that, so neither here nor there.
Sure.
You know, I don't mind when things have like replenishability, but I feel like the reason why I'm just not fully behind it is I don't know how that economy makes sense. Like, I don't know if that kind of economy makes sense, giving up a whole spell slot to do this.
Just because when it comes to warlocks, you only have a set number of spell slots and they're always max level. So you're going to be expending at this point in your career, I think a 3rd level spell slot at level 10. Warlock.
Considering that Barb is a 1st level spell and people hate it there, replenishing it on a short rest seems good. Yeah, I don't mind short rest. It's just the expending a magic spell slot. Now, granted, if the player thinks that that's 10. A good use of economy, sure. Like I said, I just don't know if I would ever give up a spell
slots,
just to do this.
You have 2 spell slots.
By level 10?
At level 10, you have 2 spells. You can cast 2 spells. So again, the only reason I would like something like this is because it's taking a valuable piece of your economy to do something.
Yeah.
If it's that important for you to run another one of these,
I'm not saying that it's not the values don't equate. It's just
sure.
I don't know if that's a valuable proposition. As in, if I were running the Warlock, I don't know off the top of my head if I would ever, again, use up one of my 2 spells just to have someone re-roll something that may or may not.
If somebody critted on me and I'm about to die, I'm for sure going to use it.
I mean, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like there's definitely scenarios where I would love to have that option. How often will I use it? Honestly, I think that's very much varies from player to player.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I could see that. Yeah, there's always a situation that you could do it in. I guess. Yeah. So, like I said, it's neither here nor there for me. But the rest of it's great. I don't mind the rest of it at all. Okay, so moving on to level 14. I think this is our capstone. Yeah, this is our capstone. So, level 14, Hand of Destiny. Your patron grants you mastery over the Weave of Fate itself.
Wild.
You gain the following benefits. Loaded dice. When you roll a 10 on the deck of Fate table, you can choose any 2 other effects instead of 1.
Oh, okay. So whenever you roll a 10 for your damage.
Yes, and that's the one that gets you to choose any of the effects.
Yeah.
This one gets you 2 additional. So you get 3 effects anytime you roll a 10.
2 additional or just 2 instead of 1?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Any other 2. Oh, no, not 2 additional. So you just get 2 effects instead of 1.
Okay.
You double the effects.
Okay.
Yeah, why not? Like, I don't really see a problem with that, especially at your capstone. Being able to get 2 effects for the price of 1, that's fine.
Yeah. And again, it only procs when you roll a 10. It's not like it's happening every single time.
Oh, and 2024 Warlocks get 5 spells, not 2.
God bless me. Oh, shit. 2024. God bless America.
All right. So that one,
that's way more than double.
I don't know if it's specifically at level 10 or if that was just their cap. Like, they get a max.
Because their cap is level 4 spells.
Right.
Or no, is 4 spell slots total.
Yes. They're always at max.
They're always at max. Yeah. So, like, you get your max level, you get to cast 5th level spell slots at.
It's 3 at 11, 4 at 17, is what Codex is saying.
3 at 11. Yeah, that's the way it is in 2024 or in 2014. You get 3 at 11. So
and we're still at level 10. We were still at level 10.
Yeah, at level 10, you would only get 2. So you have 1 at level 1, 2 from level 2 all the way to level freaking 10. You have 2 spell slots.
God, I hate 5e sometimes.
You have 2 spell slots. But again, you're a warlock. You're not supposed to be a solo. You're not supposed to be like a caster. Although there is a choice. You have a couple of choices when it comes to boons. You have the Pact of the Blade, the Pact of the Tome, or the Pact of the Chain. And if you choose Pact of the Tome, you're all about spell slots. You're all about casting spells. So I'm like, I can cast 2 things. What am I doing with the rest of it? Just cantrips for days, I guess.
Right. Yeah, and that's exactly why they have decided that warlocks get all of them replaced on a short rest. For that exact reason, you need. But that's also probably where that
coffee lock came from.
Well, not only the coffee lock, but that's probably where the trope of combat rest came from. Is because honestly, if you're not doing that, that's that trope of the warlock being like, I'm fucking tired. But I'm pulling my load. Sorry.
And see, that's again where I feel like I struggle with this just in general because like I am a resource snob when it comes to being anything. It's like I will save my shit for when I really need it, but then I end up never using it, and it always pisses me off. And so like I feel like I'm gonna be the dude who just starts using my shit and like not necessarily not caring about what the future holds, but like being like I want to like envision myself as this character, and like if I'm in this scenario, like the other day I was playing a divination wizard, and I got my 2 portents, right? Yep. And back to back almost, this dude came to attack me, and I was like, nope, you're not gonna hit me. You rolled a 12 instead of whatever you rolled, right? Because that's what you get to do. You just get to say, hey, I'm exchanging whatever die roll you rolled for the one that I foretold when I started the day. I saw a 12 getting rolled, and that's now. Right. And I had another one that I could have used, but I didn't. I saved it, and guess what? Didn't use it for the rest of the session. So it's like sometimes it's just worth doing it. And if you run out, you run out.
Another thing to keep in mind for how these are set up as well, Codex gives in 2024 rules at 2nd level, you can perform an esoteric rite for 1 minute. At the end of it, you regain expended pack magic spell slots, but no more than a number equal to half your maximum rounded up. Once you use this feature, you can't do so until a long rest. So you basically spend 1 minute and you get them back for free.
Okay. So you'll never get more than half your max.
And again, I always find it funny in 5th edition when they say like for 1 minute, be like, so basically you just do it. Like again, the concept of time in 5th edition is always funny to me because most people don't play like with time being meaningful. So the idea that you spend 1 minute doing anything, and it's like, unless it's in combat, that doesn't mean anything.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I've always had a weird like relationship with that idea. It takes you 1 minute. Okay. Like,
right.
So basically, all right, we're done. Move on. Like, I don't know. It's always weird when they do those things because I don't think it was ever meant for combat. You know what I mean? And once I think it's more of they do that to guarantee it won't happen in combat.
I think so too.
That's really what they do
so
is
too.
Because combat would never last, 10 rounds.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about loaded dice, which is you get to have 2 special effects whenever you roll a 10 on your deck of fate. The next one we get at level 14 is Major Omen. When you finish a long rest, you can roll a d10. The result is your Major Omen number. Until you finish your next long rest, whenever you activate your deck of fate, if any of your Eldritch Blast damage die show your Major Omen number, you may apply that number's effect without spending a use of the deck of fate. So you basically just get a freebie one.
One that procs every time.
Without use of the ability.
All day long. It's just like, this is going to happen anytime I roll that number.
And it changes every long rest.
I'm assuming you can't choose 10.
You roll a d10. You just roll.
So it's random. You don't get to choose.
You roll a d10 when you wake up, and that one, if you ever roll it for the rest of that day, it will auto proc. But then you have to choose still to proc any of the other numbers.
Is this?
And it says if any of them show it, you may apply that number's effects without expending it. So I don't know if that means if I roll 3 of those same number and they're all my Major Omen, do I get 3 uses? I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think it's only 1.
I'd say
it still should only be 1. But the idea of a free one that kind of changes every day. Yeah. Again, at level 14, because I've always made this distinction. Capstones fucking suck. Not only do they suck because they come way too early in the game, but they usually just don't feel like capstones. This is a capstone that will carry you for the rest of 1420. You know what I mean? Like, that's an ability that I'm totally fine with. Now, granted, I would probably put in there that if you roll a 10, you should re-roll.
Yeah.
But then again, it just means that if you rolled that, it's going to auto-proc. So is it really that big of a deal that the one you get to choose auto procs. Like, I don't know if it's that big of a deal, especially at level 14 by that point. So I don't mind it. I actually think that's a really good opportunity. And again, it like we said before, that goes so much more into the fortune's favor aspect. You don't know every single morning which one you're going to benefit from. You know what I mean? It's almost, you don't know which one's going to be like permanently.
I'm trying to decide whether
any one of the four. Gotcha.
Whether I would prefer you to be able to choose this.
Oh yeah.
Or the role. Like, I definitely agree. The role definitely plays way more into the fortune's favor, but I can totally see, like, you wake up in the morning and your morning prayer or whatever, your morning like plea to your deity is like, hey, give me this number. Let let this be my lucky number today, or let this be my auto proc today, or something. I mean, like that.
I equate it to the old school mentality of how clerics got their magic. It was, yes, you could say, oh divine, I would like to have bless and bane and blind today, and your god says, yeah, you know what? Sure, you can use those in my name. But this one's more like the patron's like, hey, you get to knock people prone now. Just today, if you know what, if you roll minimum damage on your thing, go ahead and knock them prone. I'm gonna give that to you today. You got a little bit of extra oomph. I don't mind it. I think it's because we are at the capstone, and I always feel like, especially with magic casters, capstones feel like they always just fall short.
Here's why I wouldn't want you to be able to choose it.
Well, what do you mean by choose it?
Meaning, when I wake up, I say number 5 is what's gonna auto proc.
But that wouldn't happen.
That's what I'm suggesting.
You're
that's
thinking you should do.
That's what I'm suggesting. I'm like debating in my head whether I feel like that would be a valuable or positive adjustment. And the only reason I wouldn't want to use that is because if there was something on this list that would make somebody be like, I'm going to pick that every single time. That's going to be the most advantageous.
And then you could just add in a thing, you can't pick what you had yesterday.
Sure.
You just can't have it twice in a row, right? Like, that would be the way to do it, is just you can't have it twice in a row. Because it is per long rest.
Yeah.
I definitely prefer the roll, just because you never know if it's going to be beneficial, right? But I also kind of like the roll, because I like, see, you know what I would also change? I'd change this right here. I would change the you may apply it. I'd make it forced. So, like, I would make it to where if you got the Fool, and the target, the target has the prone condition or is moved 15 feet if they're immune, I don't think you should have a choice. I think if you rolled that, anytime your Eldritch Blast does that, that is gonna be what happens, and you don't get the choice of whether or not. Like, that's the thing, is that you may get to do it, I think, is the problem. I think it should just be.
I agree with that.
Because then maybe you didn't want that to happen for something. Like, again, maybe it's immune to prone, and then you knock it off the cliff, and maybe you needed that guy to live.
Sure.
But you accidentally knocked him off the cliff.
Sorry, guys.
So just, again, it's that little thing of it's in your favor. It's a fortune, but not all fortune works in the way that you think, right? So even though it's a benefit to you, it doesn't necessarily have to work exactly the way you want it to. So that would be the only thing I would change, is they don't get to choose whether or not it procs. You roll that D10 every morning, and that effect will go off if you roll that Eldritch die.
I think I'm not mad at that. I definitely like the auto go off, like, regardless or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But we do have another one called Silver Lining.
Okay.
As a bonus action, you can regain all expended uses of your Deck of Fate. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. It's a much higher action economy than we've seen before.
There are so many things that give you your Deck of Fate stuff back.
You and I are already on the same page.
I don't know if you need another one, but I definitely get the fact that that's kind of what this build is centered around, is like using your Deck of Fates over and over again. Which is fair and which is fine, which almost feels like you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not casting. Although I will say that's one of the cool things, is because a lot of the times
when you are playing a warlock, it feels super boring just casting Eldritch Blast over and over and over again. That's what a lot of people will end up doing. You know, some people like you have a packed weapon and actually go up and do some melee stuff, but you know, this kind of like points you towards a specialization, specifically an Eldritch Blast based specialization, and you can use your leveled spells for things if you want to, but the majority of what you're going to be doing is slinging Eldritch Blast and getting added effects.
Yeah,
that's going to be the majority of what you're doing out here. And if you don't really have the ability to do that, like, you're missing out, you know? And so I get the idea of like wanting to make sure that this player always has access to those things, or always has a way to get more of those things. Like, say if you're in the middle of a fight with the BBEG and I already got my I already refilled it earlier, I already got my extra 2 at the beginning of this combat, I'm just out and we really need some love. Boom, I pop this and I got all my stuff back, and now I can go strong for the rest of the fight. Like, I get it, but again, it does feel like there's a lot of what do you call it? A lot of just things that we're trying to make sure we keep this up. But again, like I said, I get why you'd want to do that. I definitely get why you'd want to do that, especially with the synergy and like the weight that this entire subclass puts on that your deck of fate. Like, that's what this thing does. Everything that this thing does applies buffs and does something with that. Just full stop. Like, everything. So if you don't have that, then you're lightweight, not using your subclass. You're just casting Eldritch Blast. You're just casting another spell.
Here's an alternative, because this is something that we haven't talked about yet. In terms of like, this is supposed to be, you know, a patron that benefits you, right, at every step of the way. But we haven't talked about what happens when like you're massively losing the fight. So here's an alternative, just going off of the title alone, because I do agree with Kage that I don't really know if we need a whole other reason to. I mean, again, almost every level has given us a different way to regain more of these uses. I don't know if we need an end-all be-all, get me them all back, while there's still other ways to do it. I don't know if that's really that necessary, but just using the term silver lining, because again, we're talking about fortune's favor and everything else like that. What if this was another way? This was another ability to regain more decks of fate, but in a different way. Instead of just this one end-all be-all, I get them all back. What if we finally gave it one to where when you're losing, silver lining, right? The whole point of shit's going bad, but it's not all bad. What if you regain an expended use of Deck of Fate for every death save you make? Fail or not. So if you go down and you make one death save, you get one back. You make 2 death saves, you get one back. Doesn't matter how many death saves you end up making, it's just while you're dead or while you're struggling to get back up, your patron's like, if you get up, I know this looks bad. I know this is terrible. You're almost, but if you stand up, the harder you try to stand up, that you're gonna get. And if you get up, say, because you're gonna end up having to make a couple. So that's.
So I like this idea. I feel like it's hard when you're the one that's down and like you're making all these things, but you're not going to have necessarily opportunities to use it potentially. What if, and this was my initial thought, it's instead of when you make a death save, it's whenever an ally goes down. Because especially in like bigger combats, in bigger combats, a lot of the times people are going up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. I'm healing you.
So whenever an ally reaches 0 hit points, you regain.
You regain the use of the Deck of Fate.
Which means like the more likely you're the last person. Again, the worst situation for a warlock, you're the only one left standing.
Now, number one, I would say the biggest problem that I have with this potential solution is for us, it plays into something that I feel like we're trying to move away from just our personal perspective of death not really meaning anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people are going to be like, oh, let him go down. I'll get a deck of fate back and we'll pop him back up again later.
To be completely honest, though, that's how people treat death. Like, because you know how many times it's no, just let me go down. It's easier for you to bring me back up than stop me from dying.
But that's my point is like, I feel like a lot of my mindset would be to make death scary, to make people not like being more and more unwilling to get closer and closer to death. Like, I want you to be scared when you're at 10 hit points, not just because you might go down, but because being at 10 hit points means that you're weaker than when you're at 100 hit points. You know what I mean? Like, I would prefer that mentality than anything else. But I think that this, like, mechanically, that feels like it works a little bit. It's not you're going to be getting it back all the freaking time.
Yeah.
But it is something that,
because I like the idea that the silver lining basically means that when everything looks like it's over, your patron has one final trick to help you out. And that's where I feel like that's the only thing that we've been missing here is there's so many times to give you advantage, but none of this it always feels like you're always gonna be in the lead. What happens when I'm not? I almost feel like this would be the perfect time for your patron to be like, hey, look, it's towards the end of the campaign, you're fighting the worst monsters and the hardest battles you've ever fought. But if everything looks like it's terrible, I got something for you, right? Like, that was the inspiration I had for this, is instead of you just being able to say, hey, bonus action, get everything back, what if your patron just had something when everything looked like it was going to be wrong?
Right.
That was just
and that's kind of why I like the idea of
maybe Codex says instead of maybe granting it benefit on a failure. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but yeah, like what kind of failure? I mean, I like it. Like I said, like I just like the idea because I'm just going off of just the name. Just the naming scheme is what's trying to inspire me to do this idea of your patron is trying to make the world as beneficial for you, right? Everything they're trying to turn in your favor. But what happens when things aren't going your way, right? What's your patron going to do? They've tried to turn it into your way, but once it's basically not gone your way, this I just think is a good opportunity to have that patron come in and just be like, I got something for you. You know what I mean? Like, don't you think I was just gonna let you fail? You know.
Yeah.
But it has to be something where it it can't just be a situation where, like, again, like, oh, you failed one, you failed an attack roll. Like, it has to be like almost a devastating. I mean, hell, even silver lining. What if it's like
anytime you crit fail,
or anytime you're critted on? That might be a little bit too rare. But anytime someone crits on you, you get an automatic like one back. Like, I feel like I love loaded dice. I really like how Major Omen works. I don't mind. I want silver lining to still be there. I still want there to be a third ability here, just because I want it to round out.
Sure.
But I really think that the one thing this could benefit from is like a true get out of jail free card.
Sure.
That's what I'm kind of looking for here. And as a capstone, you know what I mean? Because this is going to be like the BBEG fight. This is, if you get up to level 17, this is going to be the time that you want out of any time that just turn the tides when it's absolutely against your favor. But how do you do that in with this, right? How do you do that with a warlock and this patron? How do you put them in a situation that it looks all like it's all gone and it's all going to go downhill, and then the patron comes in with one final little, I got you.
Yeah.
Not a guaranteed everyone gets back up at full health, but just enough to be like, hey, it's not all done, and if you know how to use this last little ability I gave you in this one rare situation, you could turn the tide around. So on failed death saves is what Codex is saying. So on failed death saves, as that's what I was trying to say. So
failed death save is that you were speaking on why it's +5.
Okay, yeah. And again, I would totally be fine with that too. Like, failing death saves, gives you something to proc on, would be fine. I'm trying to think of any other opportunities that would happen in those later game fights.
So, What if you... Okay. This might sound a little wild. See, I don't know how OP this would make somebody. Imagine if, when you went down for death saves, you got to add, because right now when you do a death save, you don't add anything.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you got to add your charisma modifier to your death saves. And if the number you rolled would get you to 20 or higher, it acts as a crit success, and you get to pop up with 1 hit point.
Okay, say that one more time.
So traditionally when you roll death saves, you don't add anything. So this time you would add your charisma modifier, and if that addition would get the roll to a 20 or higher, it acts as a crit and you pop up with 1 hit point.
That's not bad.
Like it's kind of like, but see, the only thing that I'm worried about is that I don't want it to be too powerful, because that's every single death save you make.
I mean, it procs only once per long rest. I mean, at that late of game, you can basically only do it once per combat at that point. So if you go down multiple times, this only gets to happen once.
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, I feel like it would still fit the silver lining vibe.
Because it's definitely something that would not happen to anybody else.
Yeah.
Nobody else would be able to get to that. Yeah. I think my biggest thing is, like, I want there to still be something here.
That's actually kind of fair.
What's up?
So what was that thing that they were talking about, the 20 test?
Well, that's Veil of Fortune.
It's Veil of Fortune?
Are they talking about the beat the odds?
Yeah, they said beat the odds.
So whenever you take damage or fail a saving throw, you can use your reaction to roll a d10, and then you would be able to reduce the damage or add it at your charisma modifier to your saving throw. Now, see, I don't know if I would allow a reaction to be used while you're making death saves, because you are not your character is no longer in control.
Yeah.
The death saves are the player, not the character. So personally, I don't think you can use beat the odds if you're down.
Yeah.
I don't think beat the odds would ever come into... Now, granted, what if Silver Lining lets you use beat the odds for death saves? Because normally I wouldn't let you use a reaction when you're dead. Like, you're basically dying, you're unconscious, you wouldn't be able to react to anything. What if Silver Lining allowed you to use beat the odds on a death save? Is that what we're talking about in chat?
A little bit. Raw death saves or saving throws. Yes, but it's not, the question isn't whether it's a saving throw or not.
It's the reaction.
It's whether you can use a reaction while you're incapacitated / unconscious / making death saving throws. And I'm pretty sure rules is written, you cannot use any of your actions while you are incapacitated and or unconscious.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're making death saving throws, that's exactly what's happening. So Paladin's auras are passive.
Yeah, so
right? They are fully passive, and they're not in control by the person that's down making death saving throws. You're talking about the person down making death saving throws consciously saying, I'm going to use a reaction to use an ability that I have. And that's not something that I think functions properly in 5th edition. Rules is written.
Yeah.
So
No, 100% Codex. That's what we're talking about. Is I was suggesting that with Silver Lining, basically Silver Lining's verbiage would be, when you are making death saves, you can use beat the odds on a failed death save. Only for yourself, only for the Warlock. You're not being able to do this to anybody else.
Sure, yeah.
But I was just thinking that, because you're a Warlock, if the Warlock goes down and begins to make death saves, they cannot use the reaction action, right? They cannot use a reaction while they're in death saves to use beat the odds. But if Silver Lining said that you could, that would be your patron basically saying, hey, I know you're dead and I know you don't have a reaction, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to do this. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Add your charisma to that saving throw that you just failed and get your ass back up.
Mm-hmm.
That, I think, makes a lot of sense. But yes, I that's exactly what we were talking about, is it would only be useful for the warlock itself when on their own death saves, not helping anybody else, not like the paladin or anything. So okay, I think that would be really cool. That would make the silver lining again. It's that thing that no one else gets to do. No one would be able, to do that. You don't have to, worry about your buddy's help giving you help, and it's basically giving yourself the help action in a way, right? Like it's kind of a way that your patron's kind of helping you out when nobody else could. So I think that would be a good alternative for silver lining, because I really, again, my biggest hang up is that I just don't know if we need a full replacement for the all expended uses, but I want to keep silver lining. I want to keep something in there because this capstone just, I like the law of threes, right? Like I really like having these three options. So I'm just really trying to like pick, draw straws here in terms of what could we really do to make the
best.
Yeah. And again, I'm big on words. So because you titled it silver lining, I'm just using that as my pure motivation for what potential. Because I mean, I'm sure we could come up with plenty of third benefits, for Hand of Destiny.
Sure.
But because it's called silver lining, my first thought is just how do you make the worst situation have a chance?
I don't like the idea of a silver lining.
Yeah. So that would probably be my final suggestion. If you're interested, is having a way to basically utilize your abilities, and being able to use, beat the odds for death saves, I think would be such a cool capstone, because you've been using it the whole time for everything else.
Right.
Then now finally you can use it on yourself to do that. That would be pretty dope. Okay, so one quick step back. So I'm just going to take a look here. So some of the spells make a little bit more sense with some of these abilities. Like I could see some more synergy with them. I still think that there could be potentially either. I mean, spells are difficult because spells are so hardwired unless you're making your own spells.
Sure.
Spells are really difficult to fit into thematic builds. You know what I mean? Like when you really have these themed builds, spells can be difficult if they're not a combat-based based person, right? Like there's plenty of necrotic-based spells, there's plenty of fire-based spells, there's plenty of spells that focus on certain certain elements and things of that sort. But then when you have something like this, there's just doesn't feel like there's a lot of spells that fit the same thing.
Much more support-based, much more battlefield control based.
And there's not even a lot of spells that give people like bonuses to their rolls, or let them there should be more spells of that sort, right? Like there should be more of these like I mean, man, I would love someone to make like a fortune teller like subclass, and then just have a whole brand new spell list, like a different type of like wizard or sorcerer,
right?
That's like a fortune teller, and they just have all of these brand new types of spells, being able to like
whole bunch of divination spells.
Right, divination spells, like scrying spells, just being able to find information would be really interesting and unique. But I also feel like that goes a lot away from the 5th edition mindset of combat oriented. It's more combat, less story.
Yeah.
So that's also where there's a hard sell there with a lot of those. But I will say that one of my favorite things is how the Deck of Fate and Eldritch Blast really seems to shine. I mean, we've always talked about that, where the first thing that you get in a subclass really should A, tell you the direction you're headed, and B, should be beneficial throughout the whole way. There's been times where we've seen these abilities at 3rd level that by 6th level you're ditching. Or, you might use it later, but none of your other abilities seem to call back to it. All of these really do play well within each one. Everything is really just about adjusting, more or less trying to adjust what's happening, right? Changing your initiative.
Yep.
Being able to get your Deck of Fate back. Because I mean, even just constantly focusing on the Deck of Fate opportunities, it's just constantly making you aware that you're not going to be dropping Eldritch Blast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And most people wouldn't anyway, because it's a super easy spell, but this makes it so much more than just your go-to cantrip. It really kind of makes it your entire personality. And I like that. I like having this hold on to that the entire time.
Yeah, that's I definitely like, you know me, my favorite word is synergy, and my favorite mentality is when things work in cohesion together, when you feel like gears are like interlocking with each other and actually starting to make wheels turn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I love it when that happens, and I feel like this subclass does that very, very well. You get locked in with something that you know you want to use, you build on it, and it makes something simple feel so versatile and so useful, and it makes it feel that way for the entire time. So like, this would honestly be a very, very cool warlock to play, just for the fact that I feel like no matter what, even if I cast Eldritch Blast every single turn, I feel like I'm doing cool stuff. I feel like I'm being a warlock.
And it's not the same thing because you have these bonuses and benefits. It's not the same thing every single time. It's not just, you know, you're one little slap damage from distance and that's it. Like, you know, and I mean, we have a mix of things, right? Like, I'm really happy that we're not seeing just extra damage. You know, going prone or being able to be pushed. Healing is an option. More damage. The heroic inspiration is something that, you know, no other real magic caster has something like that, where they're going to benefit themselves and somebody else at the same time. It's usually one or the other. So there's a lot of opportunities here that really make this feel different than your standard warlock, which I think is phenomenal. So again, I think my biggest critiques of it are, I love the idea of the sign of the patron. Some of these just don't hit right for me in terms of how that they would actually manifest in gameplay.
Sure.
That's my only critique, is just I don't see how many of these would work. But again, 1 and 3 are absolutely my favorites. I would absolutely, both as a player and a DM, I would abuse the shit out of those in both. Well, mainly just an RP, but
sure.
Like, those would always be coming up. The fact that you did that, like, there would be people who like don't like warlocks, so you have to hide that symbol from them, right? Or the loose playing cards, you know, just like the idea that your magic comes from something else, at least in High Point, that could matter, right? Like, there are people who understand how magic works in my realm, and whether or not you learn magic the hard way, or are a natural born, or were gifted magic, people react differently to that, right? You know, it's kind of like a status symbol, right? It's like, you know, did you go to were you a theater kid, and then did you go to college, and then did you get recruited and then become an actor? Or is your dad an actor? Or is it that you were so good someone saw you and said, I need you in a movie? Like, 3 completely different reasons. Now, you still respect them as an actor, but your respect level is going to differ based on, you know, is their daddy the director and they got the part because of that? Did they earn it through hard work and years of trial and error? Or did their natural talents just stand out so hard that, you know, it benefited them? So that's where I like using this kind of stuff in game a lot. I don't believe in flavor text. I don't believe anything is there for nothing.
Sure. Everything has purpose.
Yeah. So my only critique here is I would like some of these to feel more usable, because a couple of these just fall short for me on how I would expect a player or a DM to work with them. But beyond that, the spells, again, I don't have anything off the top of my head that would be better. This may just be a limitation of 5th edition and just the types of spells that they offer.
Sure.
I think the spells could be better, but I'm not going to say that here's the list of them, because I don't know. I just feel like this may be a shortcoming of the spells that we're not going to have, you know, or there's the spells that we just don't get. So spells are kind of neither here nor there. Plus, you know, when it comes to magic users, I mean, these are just the ones that this subclass gives you, regardless of the other ones that you can use, right? So would I like to see some more like fortune-based ones? Yes, but I don't know any of them.
And specifically, Warlocks is the only one, because you get such limited spells, it never forces you to take any of these. It just says you have the ability to choose from these because they're not originally a part of your spell list. So
yeah, and in 24, Are warlocks similar to sorcerers, where they have the list and they can cast any one that they want, or do they have to prep?
So sorcerers, no, warlocks and sorcerers do not have to prep because they get so few spells.
Right. So all of these are they just get to choose this on top of the other warlock spells. Like these are just all available whenever they say they're gonna cast a spell.
But again, the number of known spells that you have, 2 spells at level 1. Once you get up to level 8, 9 spells. And then it kind of starts to plateau a little bit. You get 10 for 2 levels, 11 for 2 levels, 12 for 2 levels, all the way up to 15 by level 20. So you get like 1 new spell, and none of these spells are going to be over level 5 until you hit your Mystic Arcanum.
Gotcha. Okay. Lady P says that, to be honest, taking into account that luck favors the prepared, which is always correct, they are kind of vibing with this particular spell list. Why wouldn't you want the tried and true things that are going to happen on top of the benefits of fortune?
Okay.
So I
love that perspective.
Yeah, I definitely get how these could be beneficial. I just wish, again, I think my commentary more goes to, I just wish there were more spells that
felt like they belonged here. Yeah, no, I feel that.
And then 2024 does not have expended spells, aka added spell to the list. Yeah, right, because these are always prepared. So wait.
Is that for any class? That's crazy.
So they don't have 2024 does not have any expended spell lists? Interesting. I thought that was
is that just warlocks, or is that all classes?
Oh, ranger spells are always prepared too. So just in general, they're not So there are no expanded lists that add. They're just there. Like, these are just the ones you get. It's not like you could choose to add these to your list if you so chose. It's like when you get these,
they don't have always prepared spells.
That they are always prepared is how I'm interpreting that. I think that's what they're saying.
Spell lists are always prepared. Do not have expanded spell lists, aka added spells to the list. I'm gonna have to look into that, because there are definitely some changes.
Because it's so basically it's never choose from this list which ones you would take. It's just everything on this list you have at any time.
Does that include warlock though? Because that would mean that these spells are in addition to the specific known spells, because they would have to say they don't count as they don't count towards the number of warlock spells that you know.
Yes.
Oh.
So
wild. Okay, bet. So you get all of these.
Yeah.
Hey, get you some. One of the few ways to get such a bigger spell list as a warlock, because normally it's much lower. But
okay. So other than the spells, Deck of Fate, no real changes there. I mean, being able to have Elder Glass with extra bonus effects, awesome. Beat the odds we liked. I still think, having nothing happen on a 1, I would like. That's just kind of a personal preference. And then we've talked about the 2 alternatives to this. Whether it's half your warlock level instead of just charisma, or changing from damage to attack. I think both of those would be amazing alternatives. Stack the deck and then stack the deck. I think there are no changes on that. I mean, advantage on initiative and being able to get temp HP. I think it is.
I mean, the closest to a change would be just a cool addition to get able to switch initiatives or play with initiative order and stuff like that.
Right.
But no, 100%.
And then Veil of Fortune. Whenever you roll initiative, you regain extended uses up to 2. and whenever a creature that you can see does a d20 roll, you can use your reaction to make them re-roll it.
Love that. Absolutely love that.
And again, it's not a disadvantage. It's that they just re-roll it and take the second roll, which is awesome. And then we have our capstone, loaded dice and major omen, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And then just we went through plenty of opportunities for what you can do with Silver Lining.
Dude, that's sick, man.
If another Warlock feature gives you spells that you always have prepared, those spells don't count against the number of spells that you can prepare for this feature, but those spells otherwise count as Warlock spells for you. Yeah. So just never have to choose spells. You just get more. You just know more spells, which realistically, that's exactly how Patron works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, lightweight.
And I don't think we had any real changes to the deck of fates. Like, all of these were pretty good.
No, I mean, it was the only thing for me was it felt like the ones with saving throws were kind of like save or suck type deal, and especially at like higher levels. I don't know if I would either change them to not saving throws or change it to do something on a failure, just less something. You know what I mean?
Like target must succeed a wisdom saving throw or has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. But if they
succeed, then
something
happens, but it's just less impactful or something. That would be the only thing that I could think of, because you get the, and I get that it's because you get them at level 3. The only thing is this level 3 list stays with you until level 20. Yeah. So it's like, do I want to be experiencing the same gameplay at level 3 that I am at level 20? Or do I want to be able to be like, because I feel like a lot of the stuff, like knocking somebody prone, is just as valuable at level 3 as it is at level 20. I love that. You know, being able to affect somebody's movement, just as valuable at level 3. Being able to move away without an opportunity attack, just as valuable. You know, so
I mean, there's really only 2 of these that require a saving throw, which is the wisdom saving throw for disadvantage and the strength saving throw will be reduced to 0. Both of those could easily be solved on a success. It's a -2 instead. -2 to speed or a -2 to attack rolls and ability checks.
Sure.
Like that could be a very, very simple. Yes, they succeeded, but you still got something.
You still did something, yeah. Because everything else does something. It just does something.
Yeah, but a -2 could be beneficial. More likely not. But it
not really as beneficial, but still,
it still could be the difference between a success and a failure.
Sure.
And reducing speed by 2 versus 0, you know, reducing it to 0.
I like when you saying 2. I'm assuming 2 5-foot squares.
Yeah. 10 feet. You would reduce it by 10 feet instead of all the way down to 0. So like that could be a way that you'd be able to do that.
But yeah. Other than that.
I like it. It's really, I mean, again, there's only a few things that I would have to modify in order to do it. And Codex, I don't know if you were here for last week's one, but the score that I always give it at the end is a compatibility score with my realm of high points. So this isn't necessarily a score based on my expertise as a DM, of 15 years or anything else like that, or us as professionals by any means. I just always give it a score based on how likely I would be able to use it and how likely I would be, would actually use it in high point. 10 out of 10 basically being I intend to use it and will probably steal it.
Shit.
And 1 out of 10 basically meaning that it just has, absolutely no place and would only make my game worse. is kind of my mentality. So
doesn't hit the synergy.
Take it with the grain of salt of that. But based on this, yes, there are a couple things. It's not imbalanced at all. It is something that we've never seen before. It's quite unique. I think that it has a lot of good synergy. It has a lot of a lot of new ideas that we haven't seen before. There's not a ton that I would have to change. I mean, most of it probably just comes down to those first few things, just like the almost the non-essentials, right? Like everything that it does is fine. It's just
sure.
It's almost like the non-essentials, like the specific spells, the signs, like those I consider non-essential.
Yeah.
Again, any DM could take it or leave it, right? But this stuff, this is the bread
The
and
meat
butter.
and potatoes,
And there's very little wrong with this. Would I do things differently? Sure, but as is, it's pretty spot on. I also, we haven't talked about it much. I really like the naming scheme on these.
Yes.
Like, like the naming scheme was
even just
really
the inspiration for the silver lining at the end. Like, you and I've talked about it before. You know, words matter, and like when you're describing something, and when you're able to like get a picture of something, like it might have been kind of challenging at first to like get the whole flow of like, okay, what are we looking at here? But I think by the end of it, it really painted a fairly decent picture. So
yes,
I'm definitely a fan.
All right, so yeah, you know, I guess I will say that it probably does earn the inspiration point. There's definitely some new things that we haven't seen here. The concept of the silver lining, I think, was part of it. The advantage on initiative, I think, is phenomenal. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
Fire.
So congratulations for your first build. 7 out of 10 for
That's wild. That's what's up. We love that.
This was really awesome. Thank you so much for sending this over. We really do appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. Hopefully you were able to take some things away. If at worst, if all we did was make you just confirm that you had it right the first time and have no interest in changing it, great. Like, no harm, no foul, no hard feelings whatsoever, whether you agreed or disagreed with anything we said. This is just two random people. And again, our whole point is to give you a knee-jerk reaction, what our first impressions are, how we would approach it as a player and as a DM based off our experience. That's all this is. But yeah, with very minor changes, and I do mean minor changes, I could make this work. And would use something similar in High Point, you know, if it fit a need. I do Warlocks a little bit differently, so there's just a little bit of incompatibility in terms of 2nd and 5th edition, but that doesn't diminish what we have here. I really would be curious to know if, you know, there's anything that you end up changing or anything that you end up rethinking in the future. But otherwise, yeah, I don't think it's broken. I don't think that there's anything, you know, truly wrong with it. It's just, I think the biggest thing will be that it really deserves a proper DM player combo. Like, I will say that.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. I think, but to be honest, I think that's true of just any player, period. Like, you really want to have a good combo. You want to have a good vibe, good energy, good play with your DM in order to really have a good experience at what we're doing. But no, I love what I'm seeing. I love, like, this is one of the things that I keep mentioning. It's like, whenever we see all of these submissions, like when I get stuff from Pokenine, or when I get stuff from Hecate, when we get stuff from Cosmic, when we get stuff from Soul, like, I love to see how different DMs think about putting stuff together, how your mind works when it comes to what you want to build, no matter how close or far away you get from like a generalized standard. Like, just getting to kind of walk through your mental process as we're looking at these types of things. It's one of my favorite things to do, because I get to understand things in a way that I haven't seen them before. Get to look at things, like the inspiration for some of the abilities that some of these people have. Like, it's wild to me. It's wild to me. So I'm very excited. Codex, I really hope you send us more stuff, because I want to get more of your vibe in our reviews. So this is very cool, and I most definitely look forward to whatever you got to send us next. So
yeah, and it seemed like everybody in chat really enjoyed this one too. I mean, we had a lot of commentary. I mean,
yes,
Cart was here commenting. Lady P, I saw Cosmic comment a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to see. Like, I love it when we get a review where everybody's like chatting, right? It's just it's great when everybody has an opinion. And again, whether it's agree or disagree, it's nice when we get that kind of engagement, because there's been times where, you know, we've had ones that were either too simple or just too good to like make any commentary on. And then we've had ones where they just like nothing worked for us, right? We were constantly struggling to figure it out. But not every episode do we get so much feedback from the audience, which is, I think, just great. It really goes to show a good build, regardless of compatibility with anyone's type of game style. I think any good build will generate commentary. You know what I mean? Because you could have something that's good and everyone's just like, yeah, that's cool. But the fantastic stuff, is what's going to get people talking about it, right? It's either the really fantastic or the really horrible. Sure. Everything down the middle is just kind of, everyone can agree, yeah, that's good, yeah, that's bad, and then everyone walks away. But it's when people really get into the weeds of discussion that I think you can really tell that you've made something good. So, yeah, and the whole point of agreeing to disagree, our whole philosophy is there's no wrong way to play this game. There's no wrong mentality. We all have different experiences. We all have different ideologies. And yeah, it's a game. Have fun. That's all we care about.
And we all explore this, and that's one of the things beyond the book. Like, we out here to discover these different abilities and these different mindsets, and that's exactly what I was talking about a second ago. When I'm like, I want to hear how you guys do things, no matter how different it is from what I do, because it's my shit. I ain't even gonna lie to you. It's my shit.
Yes, clearly this was meant for someone outside of me.
Wild.
Which is absolutely fine. You know what? That's absolutely fine. I do not mind whatsoever. Again, you're talking to someone who is religiously and staunchly played a second edition based game for so long that I just don't care anymore about, like, I don't care that people have different ways to play. You know what I mean? I've been playing this game for so long. I've played literally every single edition. I have had 30 different players in my realm over the years, and I have a game. I still have campaigns that are running 10 years in. And, you know what I mean? Like, same characters, same storyline.
Yep.
And I've also done one shots. I've also done, like, different. I mean, I've done it all, but I know what I like. And I'm over worrying about whether or not other people care or agree.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
I genuinely feel like everyone should get to that place.
Exactly.
Because it's do you like it? You're playing this game because you enjoy it, because you want to do it, right?
Right.
Codex is playing this game because they like it and they want to enjoy it. If what you're creating right here is the thing that you enjoy, who cares if other people like it or enjoy it? You do.
And the thing is, I'm not your player. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not your player. If you introduce this to your game and you told, like, because we've had that where we've completely disagreed with the build and given it even a low compatibility score, and then the author will come out and be like, hey, I've tested this with all of my players and everyone loves it as is. Cool. I'm not saying they're wrong. Like, that's the whole thing. Is the one thing we never want to do is come across as in we're the authority here. Like, we are not the authority. We are just opinionated people. We just want to give people a voice, an alternative voice, so they can actually hear what someone else might do. Because some of our, authors are just making stuff to make stuff. Others have already play tested it before they sent it to us, and others are testing it here before they go play test it. Right?
Sure.
We have the whole gambit of people, and that's the beauty of doing this is we don't know the situation that these came from. I can only look at this through the prism of how I play this game, and whether that means that I understood the assignment or not doesn't matter to me, because again, the way that I would approach it is the way that I would approach it. And I can't be worried if that doesn't hit the mark with some people, because I'm not gonna hold it against them if they were approaching it differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's our whole vibe, is just hoping that everybody was just plays the game that they want to play, enjoys it, and we're just here to give opinions.
Heck yeah. And honestly, I'm here to learn from you guys, because I can't tell you how often somebody sees something from a perspective that I haven't seen it from before, and I'm like, that's kind of the shit. I'm gonna kind of steal that.
Yeah.
And I love doing it. I really do.
Yep. So again, I really hope you enjoyed that. Everybody out there, especially you, Codex, I really hope that you enjoyed the conversation. I hope that we see more from you. It would be fantastic to see any more of your builds and go over it. We are here every single Monday for anything, any kind of homebrew that y'all want. So yeah, well, we don't need Codex's average because that was their first. So their average is now a 7.
Their average is officially a 7.
I think that's actually the community average too.
Is it?
I think the community average finally got to 7.
Nice. We love that.
And then we will just need an update on what is the next review for next week.
We have Cart coming back in strong with their Flesh Golem Artificer subclass.
Ooh, Flesh Golem Artificer.
Yes. Sounds like they're going to be messing with some... They're going to be doing some like Frankenstein style stuff.
That's fascinating because usually artificers are much more about like tinkering with items, not.
Have you ever seen the Castlevania series on Netflix?
I know about it. I haven't watched it.
So there's this one character, this black dude, he's bald, and he basically creates these golem type creatures. That's instantly, when I hear Flesh Golem, that's the picture that pops into my brain.
Okay.
It's like you out here, like almost kind of like what was the last one they were doing where they were augmenting like parts of their bodies and stuff like that. I swear we just did one that was like that.
Yeah. Cart does have a question for you, by the way.
Let me get back to chat.
Once he reads that, I will go ahead and post our links in the chat as always.
Any questions or anything I need to about next Monday? Not yet. I will let you know. I'm somewhat through transition, and again, I try not to like read too much into what's there unless I specifically need to reorganize some things. And so a lot of the times I'll just end up copying and pasting, especially if stuff's formatted pretty well. But as of right now, like I was going to ask Codex before today, but I totally goofed on it about whether this was 2024 or not because it started at 3rd level. But it was answered fairly quickly within the beginning of our build, so it wasn't the end of the world. But no, man, I think we're gonna be good. I've gotten stuff from you before, Cart. I'm pretty sure your stuff is fairly straightforward from what I remember. But yeah.
All right, so we had a Flesh Golem next week. This Friday we are going to be doing something a little bit different. So we will be playing some Marvel Rivals because we've been working on OSR, which is our new VTT that we're creating, One Shot Rivals, which is going to be a virtual tabletop that we can play with chat here on Twitch, based off of the very popular game Marvel Rivals. So we have basically everything built. We've done some alpha game testing. We just have some things that we got to clean up, but I'd like a break from it. So we'll be playing some regular Marvel Rivals, just chit-chatting about some of the conversions and just having a good time. And then probably kicking back off the next week if we don't do more D&D stuff on the following Friday, then we'll probably pick up OSR again. But at this point, I think we are getting very, very close to
development stage.
Yeah, I need to get in touch with the dev and start building it out.
Cool.
So OSR beta is hopefully going to come by the end of the year. It would be nice to get that running by the end of the year, because I think that's just going to be a phenomenal opportunity. I think that would be just such a fun game to run. Man, if we could ever get sponsored.
Wow.
But who knows?
Love it.
Out of curiosity, if I find something else, if I fired something else your way, how long will till review? So it just depends on how many people that we have. So now that you're in the rotation, we try to cycle through all of the authors. I think, how many do we have? Like 6 people right now? Well, I don't know how many people have, because it depends. Some of our authors have sent in multiple things, like Cart and Hecate and Pokeniner. So
the question is, how many active submitters do we have? Active meaning you have stuff waiting in the wings. Right now, it looks like, and I did just get some more in. I know Cosmic just put one in. Soul just put one in.
And Desmar just put in some more. But fortunately, that doesn't add too much to what we had because most of those guys were already on my list.
Yeah.
So
we have a big backlog, but we try to get everybody cycling through well enough.
I think we're on a rotation of 5 right now. So you'll be around like once a month. There'll be 1 month where you don't see a review of yours, but outside of that, you should see a review of yours at least once a month.
Yeah. And that's just, until we get a better schedule that we can start doing reviews on more than one day a week. And who knows, maybe it does come down to on Fridays we can do another review. I don't know. It's just always been a Monday thing. And then it kind of got way, way more popular than we ever anticipated. I mean, we're at what, like 80 something reviews that we have under our pocket now?
Here's the deal.
80 just from the community, not even the ones that we did. We just
finished our 96th from the community.
We're almost at 100.
Yep.
We've never like that was number 96. Not that we have 96, including the ones we haven't done.
No. That was 96. Including the ones we haven't done, we're down to 118.
How have we been doing it this long?
And I haven't even imported all the stuff. Like, Desmar just sent us a list of stuff that I can add to what we got going on.
How have we been doing it? Like, I thought we were at 100 with all the shit that we took off the list.
We were.
I know.
When I changed the list. And now...
Man, we've been doing this forever. It's crazy. Well, I mean, again, 2.5 years, every Monday. I mean, that's
I mean, at the very beginning, the first couple of weeks weren't reviews. But after that...
But basically, pretty much straight 2 years we've been doing this every Monday. That's insane that we have that many under our belt. Wow.
I'm here for it, dude. I'm here for it.
So who's going to be number 100?
As of right now, this is likely going to change, especially if Codex gives me something else. But right now, it looks like Pokeniner is slotted to be our number 1 hundo.
Number 100. Wow.
Our 100th reviewed community creation.
It's just like, I know we've been doing it that long, but
that doesn't include our showcases.
Right. Yeah, the non-universal reviews that we don't do. Damn. That's so crazy. Codex, do we have a preference on races, monsters, or subclasses? Well, yes. I will say this. I think subclasses has for sure been like the number one thing that we reviewed.
You know what? I can answer that question literally right now. Because I have it tracked. Let me unhide this sheet real quick. That's not what I wanted.
But yeah, in terms of like, honestly, I think monsters are the thing that we've had the least of. I think we've had plenty of races and subclasses. Now, I love races. Races are great. They're some of my favorite things to review because they're some of the most like uniquely inspiring things in my opinion, just because while they have static things, I feel like they give the player the most to work with. Subclasses are kind of just, it is what it is once you pick it. But I always love me a monster too. Like good monsters to run into combat with.
So
can always be fun.
Here is our hierarchy. In first place, we have a total of 32 subclasses that have been submitted.
32 subclasses.
32. In second place, we have a total of 17 creatures that have been submitted. And in third place, we have a total of 13, theoretically tied for third place, is weapons tied with races.
So there you go.
Weapons and races.
If you want to help even that out, races would be great, but also monsters. Both of those are way behind subclasses. Now, granted, everyone loves a good subclass.
For sure.
So submit anything and everything you got.
We want it all, like just genuinely. And an honorable mention for items. And I will say, armor has its own category. We've only ever received 9 of those. So if you got,
I think most of those are from Cosmic because of his dragon scale.
And the one that we got from that to this day is still one of my favorites. Kitsugi's.
Kitsugi's Resolve. That was so good. I am so mad that couldn't be given a 10 out of 10, but it's someone else's IP.
For sure. Yeah.
They got a 9 out of 10, right?
I think so.
Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure they left the Discord.
They did.
I think that they're no longer with us.
That's true.
Man, Kintsugi's Resolve was such a good one. that was one of those ones that I am so mad that I have I'm very happy that I have rules, but like, that's one of those ones that pains me to not to have my rules, because I'm just like, that was such a good idea. So far. But you guys can see all of those, by the way. So the leaderboard and all of our reviews are available. So in the Discord, if you go to our Discord and you go to the schedule channel, where you can see the last and next item to be reviewed, there is a link there, a little blue word that says leaderboard. And that is a link to the leaderboard that you can go see. So you can actually see everything that we've reviewed from the community. There are timestamps. There's the author, what it is, the score it got, and there are links to the YouTube video, so to our VOD channel. So if there's anyone that you seem to like and you want to see what we said, or if you ever want to go back on this episode, there will be a link in there to our VOD channel with this live stream, as well with all of them. So if you guys are ever interested, you guys can always go back and check on those. Do you also add the link to the PDF as well?
I do.
Okay, so you can pull up the PDF and the review video anytime you want.
I will say I have not. It is on my to-do list. I've been slacking on it. Some of the older ones, before I actually started doing this, before I actually created the leaderboard, I don't have all of the PDFs, and so I'm gonna have to go back and like recreate some of those that don't have an actual PDF attached to them, but everything should have an episode attached to it, so at the very least you can go see what we talked about on stream.
Also, Cart's asking if you can resend them the last sent me
the PDF.
It looks like they want the last one. It looks like they may have lost the original file.
I sent you
I don't know if you just want to, like DM them back.
Yeah. I'll send you a DM. Can you tell me which one it's for? Do you know which one it's for?
For the flesh golem, or for the flesh smith. The next week's.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah. You want your original PDF back, not the converted file that we use, right? Just want to make sure, because I don't know if you want the formatted version that we show on screen, or just the one that you sent directly. Because that would, or you can just send both, I guess.
For sure.
All right. But that brings us to the end here. So yes, please send anything and everything that you guys have made. We would love to review it. And I mean, we are absolutely getting to the stage where we're probably, the moment we can afford it in our own schedules to add another stream. We've talked about this for a long time. Just because, OSR is probably going to take over Fridays, to be completely honest. Once OSR launches, that'll most likely be our secondary bread and butter outside of reviews. Ironically, I mean, I know we don't have a overly expressive or like, I love our community, but I know that there's not a lot that happens in the Discord and in chat and everything, but I haven't heard any feedback. No one said anything about missing things like history ofs or deep dives, like the shit we used to do on Fridays.
Yeah,
I mean, we used to, when we first started here, the first year and a half, every Friday was like a deep dive on different lore. So we used to do like the history of druids, history of magic, history of spellcasting, history of leveling up. We have so many history of episodes where we just broke down every edition. So if you guys are ever interested in that, you guys can go check out the VOD channel for those. But I don't know, no one's ever mentioned that they miss those. Like that's never come up that someone's like, hey, when's the next history of? Or, I kind of miss the deep dives. It seems like reviews were always, like reviews have always been popular.
Sure.
But I'm really starting to think that once we actually launch and have OSR playable, that will probably take over Fridays. So if we ever add another day and we don't get inspired to do anything else, it'll probably be another review day. Now that'll just depend on our schedules and when both of us could dedicate yet another day of the week.
Fair.
2 days a week is already a lot for two of us to bend our schedules. But if you guys are ever interested in different episode series, let us know. I mean, we have a whole list under the community stream ideas.
Yep.
That channel has all of the episode types that we do. That's usually what we do for community streams. But y'all are ever interested in seeing that more often on the week, just let us know what ideas you guys have, and we will try to implement them. Let's see all of those things I never got to experience. I don't necessarily know what I'm missing. Well, yeah, I guess you weren't.
You can always check out the VODs channel.
Yeah, that's true. If you guys are ever interested, I mean, and not only our VODs channel, but our main YouTube channel. If you guys are actually interested, there are a couple edited episodes. So if you don't want to watch the whole entire VOD, there are a couple edited episodes on our main channel. There are a couple history ofs on there. There's image to item on there. So if you guys are ever interested in checking it out and just seeing if those are something that you guys want us to bring back, let us know. They're not high quality edits. They're just cutting out the fluff of our live stream. But if you're interested in those, I wouldn't mind going back to them. It's kind of one of those things. I felt like it was a lot of prep and a lot of work up, and I just don't know if we ever really got like as much traction as we did with reviews. So, but we want to know what you guys want to watch. We want to know what you want. We want to build for our community. So as of right now, we're just trying to put our best foot forward in the areas that we know that y'all are entertained with. So
bet.
But yeah, so we're gonna call it there. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Codex, thank you so much for sending that over. Even if we don't see eye to eye with things, I'm still glad that you sent it over to us, and I just hope that you appreciated the viewpoints, whether or not we were in agreement with them. But yeah, I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend, and I hope you have a great week ahead of you. We will be back on Friday with some Marvel Rivals, just some casual gameplay. And I will, as always, try to pop on during the week for some casual games as well. So if you see me online, say hi. If you see Kage online, go make sure to follow him as well. He does stream every now and again, either with coding or some games. So if you guys want to go check him out, what is your channel? I think I need to...
I think it's just my name, Kamini Kage.
There we go. Boom. So yeah, go follow him if you're ever interested. You didn't expect eye to eye from past reviews. Well, I'm glad at least, for being someone who is a newer submitter. I'm glad at least you were very aware of it. The thing is, like with new submitters, I really don't know what the expectation is. I mean, I always hope the expectation isn't that we're just gonna glaze it.
Sure.
I also hope that I never want anyone to take it personal. I never want anyone to take what we say as gospel. It's
sure.
You know what? I play a different game. I get it. But you know what? Sometimes I might have a good idea.
Every once in a while.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's what we're here for, is the passion and discussion is what we're here for. I hope it's intellectual, but no, that our whole point is open communication and discussion, so people can think through everything and come to the conclusion that they're happy with. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm very happy that that's how it is, and I do hope to see more from you. Nightcart, hope you guys have a great week ahead of you, and I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Appreciate you. Yes. We don't have to agree, but as long as we're all in agreement that it is a game that is worth playing and having fun with.
Hey, those are the most important parts right there.
All right, y'all. Well, I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. If you see us online, come say hi, but we'll see you guys on Friday. Cheers.
Deuces, my friends.